you about the Star Spangled Banner. That's the War of 1812 is how the Star Spangled Banner came to be.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole facts.
Oh wait, first. Wait, we should talk into the mic.
Oh yeah, this
Otherwise,
is very important.
It's like
Jack thing.
It's it gives the best audio. This thing good for you?
Keep it like this.
Like it's got to be touching your nose.
It's got to be touching my nose like that.
It's got to be like right down in your. You
Well,
gotta
you
put your
can
mouth
see,
over the
like-
mic.
Yeah,
If it's hitting towards the right,
then we're good.
then we're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you
think we're
get
good.
very animated, and
It just gives the best audio if you
Yeah.
talk directly in.
yeah.
Yeah. So what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, Star Spangled Banner. Star Spangled. I don't. This is so long ago. I used to be so good just like remembering all these like random history facts. But basically, the War of 1812 is where like the origin of like the Star Spangled Banner is coming from. And I don't remember. I know it was a woman who wrote it, and there was like controversy. Someone said like this man, like whatever his name was, wrote it, but then it turned out like actually his wife wrote it, and then he just stole it. And I'm just like, that's cool.
It was Francis Scott Key, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that the Star Spangled Banner was invented so late after like America became a country.
Yeah, I thought it was like invented like for like the American Revolution as kind of like a hype up song.
That's a good point. So it was invented in 1812.
Yes, it was written in 1812.
Which is how like we gained independence in 1776. So that's like
Over 50 years. Or no.
Wait,
80, 90,
40.
24.
106. That's like 36 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Francis Scott Key's wife wrote it.
Yes.
So wasn't it they were at some like fort or something that was getting bombed?
Yeah, it was like some fort in, I think it was South Carolina.
Is it Fort Knox or no?
Is it Fort Knox?
I don't know. I don't know much history, but
Yeah.
I love listening to it. It's history. I love learning about history now. It's one of those things whereas when I was in high school, I didn't like history. I was very bored by it. And now looking back as an adult, I find it so fascinating. I don't know why. I think it's just maybe the things that you had to learn in high school and memorize for tests was just not that fun. In middle school and everything before that. Whereas now when you look back, it's like, what were people doing? It's just so interesting to see what people were doing.
Yeah, I find that being forced to memorize something is so much less enjoyable and harder to engage with than just learning it on my own accord. And like,
Yeah. And if I'm naturally interested in what I'm learning, then I'll be more likely to remember the dates than to just have to remember the dates because like for the sake of remembering the dates of certain things.
I feel like that also applies to just like, well, for me specifically, that applied to like chores in general. Because I feel like when I was like when you're a kid and like your parents tell you, hey, like go do this, like go wash the dishes or something, and I was just like, ugh. It's just like feels like you're like I don't want to do this because someone told me. But now I feel like, especially like doing like yard work, it's like almost like a cathartic experience, or like it's like relaxing. I get to listen to music. I'm like doing this. It's just like it's
you feel
nice
like
now.
you feel productive. You're getting something done. You're helping. It's like yeah. I totally know what you mean. I'll get the same thing where I feel much more adulty once you move into your own place. It's like the things that I would do to my parents' house, I would never do to my own. So now when I go back to their house, it's like, oh gosh, like I was such a slob. Like I understand why my mom was like, you know, wipe the counters when you use them, and it's like just simple things like clean the bathroom every week. Just do it. And I'd be like, why? Like,
dude, yeah, I'm in that same boat.
But now it's like when I'm in my own place, it's like I like to keep it clean. So now I go back and can't believe I used to just think that. It's just I would never want to do that to somebody else's. Now I try to be extra clean, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The first time I moved, or I was just living with my parents for a week between moving here from Oregon, and we ate like dinner or something, and I washed all the dishes, and they were like, what? Like, wow, thank you so much. And I was like, oh, like that's what I've been doing in Oregon when I was living alone. So like, it was just secondhand to me to just do that.
Yeah. Dude, the things that you start to appreciate just become different. Like it's like those memes you see like you just appreciate getting new Tupperwares.
Yeah.
Oh, like I got glass Tupperwares now. Like I'm fancy.
Yeah. Oh, that's how I feel. Because my mom was just asking, she's like, oh, David, what do you want for Christmas here? Like when I'm younger, I'm like asking for like a new video game or like an Xbox or something now. And then she's like, what do you want for Christmas this year? And I said, I want some pickleball shoes.
Hell yeah.
And like, that's it. I'm just like, pickleball shoes and maybe like a nice like like a nice like water bottle, like a
Nice.
Yeti or something
Dude,
like that.
I got to get a water bottle. Speaking of
You
that,
too.
because I just drink out of plastic water bottles all day, and I just feel like it's not ideal.
Killing the environment, Jack.
I'm part of the problem. That's what. Yeah, but like we were talking about that the other day in the sauna. Somebody was. I don't know. Was that a myth that somebody was saying that you eat a credit card worth of microplastics every week?
Yeah.
Somebody was saying. I don't know if that was true or not, or if that was like a myth.
Somebody did say that, and I heard that for a while, and then my brother told me that. And then I watched the Andrew Huberman podcast about microplastics, and he just dispels that myth immediately.
Okay.
And he says that there was one study that said that number was overreported by over 1,000 times.
Oh.
So some people don't even eat a credit card's worth of microplastics in their entire lifetime.
Oh wow.
But some people do.
Wait. So now, hold up. How many years is 1,000 weeks if we think about that? How many would you guess?
52 weeks in a year.
Well, actually, yeah, it's kind of.
It's like 150.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Can
Did I just do that math really wrong? Hold up.
Wait, what is it?
No. It's 1,000 weeks.
Oh, that's like 20.
Yeah.
Oh.
1,000 weeks, 50. Yeah.
Oh, so interesting.
It's 19 years.
19 years.
19.2 years.
So it must be that the lower end of the people in the study got so few microplastics that it was way less than 1,000.
But even then, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you still don't know.
Just
and
depends on your lifestyle.
The other thing is like, what's the effect of it?
Right.
Eating like a credit card size worth of microplastics is not going to be the end of my life.
Right.
It's probably going to be something else.
I think one of
Yeah.
the main concerns is that there's been studies that certain microplastics that get in the environment can affect the wildlife and hormones in certain like in animals. So then we extrapolate from that and think, okay, well, if it's affecting hormones in insects or other small animals, how could it be affecting our hormones in the long term?
Yeah, I think the problem isn't how am I going to die from microplastics. It's like,
how is it going to change me? How's it going to affect me?
how is society going to suffer from plastics in the environment
'Cause,
in
like,
50 or 100 years?
If microplastics are especially affecting like chickens or like, so it's like they're not laying as many eggs, it's like, okay, well now that's like a big part of like the food that we eat every day is just drastically dropped now. So now we gotta figure out how this is gonna affect us like physically, environmentally, but also like socially and economically. Like there's a lot of moving factors.
Prices will change. Like there'll be less food, less eggs, and then like less healthy chickens. Prices will change. Nobody wants that. It's not a good sign of a prospering economy.
How much do you consider how much plastic you're ingesting when you're making a decision to buy a food? Or like plastic water bottles. Are you like,
Sometimes I'll think of it and be like, it'll cross my mind kind of often actually.
really?
But I don't get like assign much merit to it or much value to it. I'll just kind of think of it and be like, oh, I wonder if this is getting plastics in my food or not, but I don't really like, I don't hang on to the thought. It just like pops and goes.
It doesn't have much weight over
Right.
your decision, sounds like.
I feel like the only time where I really like thought about it, because like with water bottles, I don't really think about it, is when I have like a plastic cutting board at home. I feel like I'm cooking stuff with it, and I can see like the little bits of plastic coming off my food. I'm like, I'm just eating so much plastic with like all this chicken I just made, because I just scrape it into the pan. I'm just like,
For me, it'll be if I'm using a plastic spatula on a really hot pan or something.
Yes.
I'll think about that and be like, is that actually getting into the food or am I just tripping?
Yeah, that's such a good point because I think about plastics a lot, but it almost never impacts my decision.
Right.
Like, try going to the grocery store and not buying anything in plastic. Everything
impossible.
is literally in plastic.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, all the meat that I buy wrapped in plastic. So besides, even if that organism was never exposed to plastic when it was alive, it's been wrapped in plastic like multiple times when it was dead. So yeah, it's so hard to avoid that.
No. What?
There's a documentary. Have you seen it? It's called No Waste Man or something.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
What's it about?
It's
Let's
like
hear it.
15 years old, and this one dude is just on a mission. There's like 6 phases, and they get progressively more challenging to him, but also they benefit society more and more. So it's no like plastic, no shopping is another phase, no energy is another phase, and then the last phase is like volunteering to do local environmental work. And this, I mean, this guy's got to have a lot of money. This guy goes to the farmer's market like almost every day. His wife is like a shopaholic, and he makes her do this challenge too. So for her not to be able to like buy anything new, like that, fast fashion is a huge problem, you know? And it was like, I was watching this thing and I was like thinking I could never ever do this. It's such a challenge on me. As like he lived in New York, so for him to go to a farmer's market was kind of accessible. Imagine us trying to live just off farmers markets here, like
In
there's
Tallahassee,
one
yeah.
or two.
Load up a giant sack of potatoes and haul it back at home.
Literally.
Like,
And without
this is
a
gonna
car
last me through the winter.
on your bike. Like that's crazy.
You'd be like that little squirrel from the Ice Age chasing that acorn. My food.
I saw this video of a glacier like flipping.
Yeah.
And this blue, this like dark blue was so beautiful. And the glacier was way longer than I thought. And the first comment was like, what is that squirrel up to?
Oh my god. I loved Ice Age. Those were some of the best movies as a kid. I really enjoyed watching them. They're very nostalgic.
Yeah, I had the third one, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, on DVD, so I would just watch it on repeat.
Yes.
I've never heard of that one.
I don't know.
Dawn of the Dinosaurs?
I probably have seen it. When did it come out?
It's like 2008.
Oh yeah, I saw that then. I had to.
It's one of the ones where they like go under the glaciers, and there's
yeah.
like the whole
Wait.
prehistoric
Yes.
land.
Dude, that was like one of the, I remember when it was like a new one when it came out, and it was different. It had the other kind of sloth guy with the eye patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like Australian or something.
Yeah. Oh, what was his name?
Like Zig or something. I don't know, man. I can't remember.
He really wanted to tame that like ginormous T-Rex.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Dude, that reminds me of Shrek with like Donkey and the Dragon.
Yes.
Donkey falls in love with the dragon.
How did Lord Farquaad become such a huge meme? I feel like it's I
like
see it.
he's
in
so
a lot of
short.
places.
It's like, isn't it because he's like tiny? He's like a short little dude.
And it's like
He's got
5'1".
this like hilarious haircut. His face is just like square. It's kind of funny.
I think people
Like a
just saw
size
him.
doesn't matter sort of meme.
Yeah.
I think people just saw him in like 2021, just like, I want you.
Yeah. Dude, so I was wondering though, the other day, yesterday, I might have asked you this actually, but I'm curious to hear your input, or your input also. If you versus a grizzly bear, full grown, big grizzly bear, but you have a sword, who's gonna win?
No, we're taking this grizzly.
We're
bear.
taking this grizzly
Like,
bear down. I have a sword,
You have a sword,
like a great sword from like Elden Ring, or just like a regular sword.
just a sword that you can like. I mean, like obviously something you could wield, not too big, but
It's gotta be heavy.
like realistic.
right?
Just something
realistic
like a sword, or you know.
Oh, that grizzly bear is going down 100%.
I'd like to
Really?
think so too. Yeah.
I can't believe that. That's what a lot of people say. I was asking people at the sauna yesterday and Luke, and people were saying the same thing, but I think that I would die. I don't think I'd be able to kill the grizzly bear with a sword.
So humble. I mean, would you try to do it?
Because
at
they're
least?
just, dude, they're so fast and aggressive. It's like a sword would be like, I feel like it would, and they're so big, it would be like getting hit by a small little stick. It seems like, unless you hit the heart, and then even then, it still would probably, the bear could still have some juice in it for a few more seconds to
Yeah.
just maul you. All it takes is one swipe, and it just messes you up. Their paws are like the size of like 4 of your heads put together when they get that big.
I think like the main reason that I feel like I'm gonna win is because like these grizzly bears and these like large like natural predators in like the wild, they don't really encounter things that like fight back with them or cause like really like any like bodily harm to them. So I feel like if I get one good hit on him and I like not even kill him, but just like wound him, I think the bear's gonna immediately just gonna like back off and be like,
Yeah.
what is this?
You have one chance.
right.
Yeah.
You can't mess up. You'd have to like, you can't whiff, or else
Yeah.
it's over.
I've been training all my life for this. Like I'm
Like
preparing.
you gotta have the
just-
timing right, the power right, and that's the thing. Is another reason why is I don't know how to wield a sword. I don't know how to use a sword. So like,
Oh,
that's another
wait.
thing.
do we have any experience like with the sword at all, or we're just thrown into the wild and there's a sword on the ground?
That's
we
a
pick
different
it up?
story. I was thinking no experience, but then that raises another question: is a samurai like a trained like
Oh, that's easy.
a trained swordman? That's just another Tuesday for him.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, that'd be a tough fight though. They're so big, it'd be risky. Still, just would have to. You can't make any mistakes.
Especially if it's like cocaine bear. So like
yeah,
it's all like
dude,
coked up.
oh, that's like you're done. If it's
For
cocaine
like
bear.
the 5 minutes that bear was still alive on like after it ate like a ton of cocaine or like a kilo of cocaine.
Yeah.
That was like the strongest apex predator on the planet.
Wait, I heard about this, but you gotta tell me more.
So I think it was like a
crazy.
drug deal went wrong. So like basically like 20 kilos of like cocaine was just like lost.
It was dumped out. Yeah, there were these drug traffickers, and I think they were getting caught, or they were maybe jumping out of a plane to escape something. They were throwing their load out of the plane of cocaine, and then jumping out of the plane also, and
They lost it, didn't they?
they lost some of the cocaine, and like it got lost in the woods.
How much you think?
It was multiple kilos, I think. I don't know. It was like
It was a
bricks. It was bricks of cocaine, and what happened was,
Oh my gosh.
people found like it was missing for like months, and then some hunter in the woods ended up stumbling upon this dead bear, and then like a duffel bag that had cocaine in it that was like looked like it was eaten or messed with or just tampered with. And so he calls in authorities. They come in. I think they scan the area and then determine that this bear ate a lot of cocaine and then sprinted as fast as it could through the woods for like
5 minutes or
for like
whatever.
5 minutes,
And then it probably had like a cardiac
and had
arrest.
like a heart attack or something. But I forget the story. Like, I think that's the gist of the story.
And then they made that movie.
I never saw the movie.
Yeah, wait, what's the movie?
It's basically just like a dramatic retelling of it, and instead of like the bear has the cocaine, and there's like just like a bunch of people in the woods, and then the bear's just going on a killing spree.
Okay, that's what I thought was real life. I thought the bear
No,
actually killed somebody.
not real life. That bear was alive for like maybe 5 minutes, was probably the strongest predator in the world, and then died.
But they found a lot of cocaine. Like it was. I think what they found was that it liked it. Like it ate a lot of it.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
so
Feeding it.
much cocaine in its system because they did an autopsy on the
Yeah.
bear, and like it was like over 1,000 times. Like how much was it? Was like 1,000 times what would kill a human was in the bear.
1,000 times. I think they call it the LD50.
Yeah.
Did it just eat it?
I think it just like ate
I
it.
think so. Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine a bear like getting a
Interesting.
credit card and like doing lines. I mean, that'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it wouldn't know how to like sniff it.
Yeah. It was just eating it.
Probably did like it probably like was like sniffing
Still,
around.
yeah, probably.
And
was
then just
both.
like, I like this.
yeah. I'm gonna eat it. It makes me feel good.
Do you think it ate it all at once or in multiple goes?
I think
I
it
don't
had
know.
to eat it all at
That's
once.
what I
Yeah.
think.
Probably. It just indulged.
I think if it didn't eat it all, you feel like it would like space it out, just like it'd have like a couple bites and just like I'll
Come back
go.
for a snack. A little cocaine snack. Just a little cocaine sandwich. You know.
Do animals know how to like moderate drug use? How would they know?
Yeah, no way. No way, I don't think. But then there was another question that came up though was, okay, a grizzly bear versus a silverback gorilla.
Ooh,
That's I have no
that's a good
idea.
one. That
Yeah.
that I feel like is 50-50.
I got mixed reactions on that one. That one was closer. I got mixed because I was thinking, or I won't say what I was thinking, but I'll see what you guys were thinking.
I can't say I'm thinking anything about that. I have no idea.
I think it'd be a toss up. I feel like 6 times out of 10, the grizzly bear is going to win.
Okay. Odds in favor. I put odds in favor of the grizzly bear also. Just because I was thinking the way I sort of I just logicked my way through it. Or the way I tried to make sense of it was thinking of a grizzly bear versus a gorilla. I think a grizzly bear could easily, if it had the opportunity, could maul a gorilla to death. You know, it could just, they're so strong, they could do it in theory. But on the flip side, I think grizzly bears have such thick skin and so much fat, and they're so massive. For a gorilla to be able to like injure a grizzly bear at such a depth to the point where it would damage its internal organs and kill it, it would have to. I just don't see that happen. Like grizzly bears or gorillas aren't sharp and like. I mean, I guess they can maybe rip it apart, but then.
I mean, silverback gorillas are they're
Yeah,
pretty
so
strong.
strong. Like, so they could. I might be underestimating the gorilla now. I just was saying I could see a bear mauling a gorilla, but I couldn't see a gorilla mauling a bear. But then again, like, I don't know. I'm just seeing. I'm
when
looking
you put it
at
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the bear also has like sharp claws. It has a weapon, but like it has the ability to like slice it open.
Yeah,
Slice the
and they're
gorilla
just.
open.
I feel like gorillas are just more delicate. Like their organs are just more exposed. But I don't know actually because they're so big. I don't know.
And you got to take in the fact that gorillas, I would say, are smarter than bears in terms of like.
Yeah, that's true. If you
Brain
taught this gorilla
capacity.
how to do like jujitsu, how to do a rear naked choke, that gorilla could probably choke out a bear. I wonder, do you think a gorilla would be strong enough to choke out a bear if it got its muscle around its neck?
I'd say
If it
so.
knew what it was doing,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. That's crazy though, Matt. They're so strong.
I'd
be
pay to
able
watch that
choke out a
fight.
bear. I know.
Yeah,
that'd be-
that'd be the number one Netflix show for.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Colosseum had anything like that in Rome. That would be.
You think they
an
made
epic
animals
one.
fight?
I think they did. I think that was like.
Yeah, I think that was part of what they would do is they would make animals fight each other.
Because they get like all these exotic animals around the world that people from like Rome have never seen before, like an
Yeah.
ostrich or like a tiger
Yeah,
or
they
like
would
a
get
gorilla.
tigers and stuff.
How would you guarantee that the animals would fight each other?
Good question.
Like, couldn't one just play defense?
Dude, I don't know. They probably, maybe they were maybe, I don't know. Oh, maybe they would like throw meat around you or something. Like starve the animals and then just put like a meat necklace around you.
So they're in survival mode.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's awful.
that's a good incentive.
That's good. Yeah.
I think of predators though, I think sharks are terrifying.
I've not experienced.
Dude, it would be
anything like
such
that.
a bad way to go. I've said this before, but sharks,
Oh,
like, because you not only are getting eaten alive, but you're being drowned, and it's like a double whammy. Those are both very horrible ways to go on each on their own, and you combine them, and now that's like, that's hell, dude. Dying. Oh,
They could just bite through bones, right?
Yeah.
dude,
You just bite your leg
great
off and
white
just let 'em
sharks
go.
get so absurdly massive, like they could just bite you in half, like with ease. They'll get the size of like almost a damn school bus. You'll see somebody swimming next to them, and they're so I can't do justice. You just have to look it up. Look up great white shark, like the world's largest great white
They
shark.
get up to like 20, 25 feet.
Yeah, they're huge, and they're these thick, giant. Like they're so girthy. You know what I mean?
Do you
It's a
think
big boy.
if it bit your bottom half off, like hips down,
Oh,
could you like still function and swim to safety, or would you just be so traumatized that you would just
I
drown?
think depending on like where it bites, like if it bites like a nerve, you're just like you're gone, like you're paralyzed.
right,
Yeah,
right.
you've got probably 1 minute before you bleed out, and that's I don't know if that's generous because that's like you were bit at the hips. That's
And they're in salt water too, so right.
Yeah.
So you're probably just like in so much pain.
Yeah. I think the shark that great white sharks don't scare me because like yeah, the possibility like it's very rare. The shark that scares me the most is the bull shark because the bull shark will eat anything. It loves being close to shores and they can survive in both fresh water and salt water.
What a beast.
yeah. Bull sharks are and they're super aggressive.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video? There was a dude who was like in the Everglades with his friends on a little boat, and he's just waving his hand in the water. And he's like, watch this. Waves his hand in the water. His friend's like, I wouldn't do that. And he waves his hand again in the water, and this bull shark just swims up and bites his hand, gets his pinky. And he like, I think it pulled him into the water, and you see him climb out, and he's got like no pinky on his hand anymore.
Don't mess with
And it wasn't even a big shark. You see the shark's like not bigger than him.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And it's right before it happens, you hear his friend say, I wouldn't do that. It's
I
like,
bet that friend afterwards like I don't want to say I told you so,
yeah.
but
And it's on a video.
Yeah, it's on video. And it went viral, so
I gotta see the comments. I always look
Yeah.
at the comments. on that
Instagram
video.
real comments on those videos gotta go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Comments are sometimes even better than the actual videos.
I agree,
It's
dude.
like-
Yeah.
People are creative in the comments.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll see a top comment and be like, that deserves to be the top comment. Like, this person, I'm so happy this person posted that.
When you were talking about gorillas, I was like thinking about Harambe. I hadn't thought
dude.
about this
Rest
thing
in peace, Harambe.
over 5 years probably.
Yeah.
That was like crazy. That was a huge meme.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was hilarious.
There was the meme of him in the clouds.
Yeah.
Like, Harambe's looking over us.
That was the same time that like all the rappers were dying too, like X and Juice WRLD.
Right.
I think everyone was saying like killing Harambe. We're on like the wrong timeline now. Ever since Harambe died, we're on the bad timeline.
Yeah. Reality's split. We're on the flip side now.
All right. Can I switch the topic?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I want to know why you're so invested in weather and
Why I'm so
meteorology.
invested
Yeah.
in weather?
Yeah.
I think I've asked you something like that, but
I think just ever since I was like a little kid, like the thing like I loved to do the most was just like watching the news and like watching weather channel, because like it was just always so like it was always so interesting to me, just like looking at the clouds and just like watching weather happen, like watching like thunderstorms, watching like lightning, watching like on the few occasions I've gone to the beach and I saw like a water spout. And I'm just like, wow, that's really cool. And then like I would get older and older, and then the more I thought about it more, and especially now I'm at college, after talking with like all these professors, like dedicate their whole life to like meteorology and things like that, we do not know jack shit about weather. Like it's there's so much that we don't know about a lot of things. Like we don't really know how lightning works. We don't really know the full reason for why tornadoes form. We just know like that's why we can like with a hurricane, like predict like, okay, here's this massive like low pressure, and over the next upcoming weeks it's gonna potentially come this. With a tornado, the best you're gonna get is you have good conditions for a tornado to happen. You can't tell where it's gonna happen. You can't exactly tell when or where it's gonna happen. You just know you have a good chance for it. There's just so much stuff that we don't know. And
so like that's cool. So there's like a bunch of mystery to it. Is that what you found intriguing?
That's what I found intriguing to me. And then as I got older and saw like how climate change is becoming more and more of a prominent effect, and it was like, I want to go into a field where like I can do something about it. Like not even like doing research like to help stop climate change, but like if I'm able to inform people about the effects of climate change, and they can like help like, and that can like help them in their life in some way or another, whether it's just like planning like, okay, like maybe I won't like it's like a lot of people like want to live like on like the coast or like on the water, and I'm just like within the next like 50, 100 years that's not going to be a viable option as like sea levels continue to rise and rise. I'm just like just helping to inform people just like stuff they don't know, and then hopefully and then like maybe in the future get to be a part of like research to like help either better understand climate change or help better like create techniques to help prevent climate change and help reverse the effects. That would be like, I feel like I'll be like achieved what I wanted to achieve in life if I can be a part of that.
Right. And that goes to shows that you definitely are more meant to be on that side of things if you feel like you are, because I was thinking I couldn't relate when I was a kid. I never wondered about the weather like that. You know,
you're just like, oh, that's a funny looking cloud.
I wondered about other things. I feel like everybody has, when they're a kid, wonders about different things. Like no life is really comparable to another. Everybody has their own sort of interests that really call to them.
So true.
Yeah,
and that's so fascinating to see, because that's something that I never thought of weather as interesting until I was much older and before I even wanted to look at it. I was like, okay, this is actually really fascinating. There's to learn about the whole earth as it's a whole system of constantly changing parts. It's like this breathing entity almost. It's like, it's really cool to think about.
Yeah. And there's even levels to appreciating weather. Like some people will be like, oh,
there's so much depth to it.
I just want to learn about it. Some people are like, oh, this is a strong hobby of mine. And then there's people like you are like, I want to make this my career. You know, I want to do this for the rest of my life because I'm so interested in it.
Especially,
didn't you say storm chasing?
That's what I want to. That's what I want to do when I'm younger. Like when I'm in like my prime, like in my 20s, like early 30s, like I want to storm chase. I want to like be part of that team, like gathers more information about like these tornadoes, these hurricanes, like how are they changing over the course over the years due to like stuff like climate change, different factors. And if we gather enough information about it, we can understand exactly why they form. And if we understand exactly why they form and where they grow to form, that's like basically half the problem. It's like, okay, we know why it happens. Now can we do anything about it to stop them from being so, to either stop it completely or at least reduce the effects of a tornado or a hurricane or really any other kind of natural disaster?
It's like one of those main issues, it seems like, is like if you could solve that problem, you'd probably become a millionaire overnight.
Yeah.
It's like there's some of those issues in each field of sciences. There's this big questions that would win you a huge prize. Like in certain in like mathematics, there's certain theorems that if you could prove, then you would get $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then, in biology and science, in the medical world, there's all these different problems. In meteorology, who would have thought, but if you could figure out how the hell a tornado comes to be, if you could predict it with certainty, if you could come up with an algorithm that shows, a function, you plug in these factors, you get like a yes or a no, you get like a Boolean. I'm thinking very computer sciencey, but it's you do get a payday, dude. You become you become the man, the weatherman.
And then figuring out like, okay, you figured out why it happens, figure out how to stop it. And like, there's so many people like dedicating like their there's like so much research. Like there's like a professor at FSU actually who just got like a $20 million research grant because he's basically what he wants to do is he's designing like these reflective like clear spheres, like these like some sort of like polycarbonate plastic sphere, and he wants to put them in the ocean.
Are they small or big?
There's they're small, but like there's like a lot of them, and he wants like he feels if you put them over the ocean, it'll help reflect more of the solar radiation back into space and basically help cool the ocean waters a little bit in a specific area, especially like areas where there's like coral reefs and they suffer a lot from the rising sea temperatures. If we can like figure out a way to like how can we reflect some of the solar radiation back, how can we cool down this area so the ocean just isn't as hot and it's not bleaching the coral basically.
Yeah.
That sounds so intuitive.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why nobody thought of that earlier.
Dude, money, you need a $20 million.
Right.
$20 million.
And to start even
my meteorology
trying.
professor was talking about it. She's like, all these like these geoengineering processes or like processes to like affect the atmosphere, affect the environment. There's really like two main problems with them. The first main problem, they're all expensive. Like these all cost like millions and millions of dollars of like just time, research, resources, like people figuring it out. It costs a lot of money to do it. And the second problem is that most of them, they're very out there ideas. Like he's getting like the $20 million worth of research. He has no idea if it's going to work or not. This is just like a theory. It's like, hey, what if we did this? And the school's like, you know what? It may work. Here's $20 million. Try it out. And my professor, like, she was very adamant and like informing us on all these geoengineering processes. And she's like, yeah, like this is great that people are trying to research this, but like for the most part, what the researchers telling us that most of the stuff that they're working on is too expensive and it's too so far out there. Like there's these people saying like, what if we like release like methane gas into the atmosphere to like help cool down the temperatures? And she's like, if we do that, we're gonna put ourselves into a winter. Or there's like, or like everyone, like a really popular topic in the meteorology world is like cloud seeding, which is like you put silver iodide in the clouds and it makes it rain more. And she's like, she's so adamant against that because it's like all the research, because like we've been using cloud seeding for like since the 1940s.
Doesn't China do that a lot?
China does do it a lot, but like you need perfect conditions for it to work. And even if it does work, you need a already existing cumulus cloud. And if it even does work at max efficiency, you're maybe getting a 10% increase in rainfall efficiency. So it's like,
wow,
it's all that work, all that time, all that effort just for it to not work all the time. And when it does work at maximum efficiency, to get in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of rainfall.
Yeah.
Why are people associating that with like politicians and certain political
Because
parties?
a lot of people like they hear the word silver iodide and they feel like oh, we're putting chemicals in the cloud, or like it's gonna change the atmosphere, and it's like it's a viable concern of like, oh, what we're putting this into, like we're putting this random chemical silver iodide in the cloud, and then it falls back down as precipitate into the soil, and then like the animal strangles, like is it gonna affect us? And there's a lot of research papers on it. I actually wrote a research paper on the effects of silver iodide in high school.
Whoa.
And from what I've come up with, all the researchers come up with, it's such a little amount going up into the atmosphere, and by the time it like, because it goes up and then as it's like concentrate, and then it disperses out. So by the time it disperses out and goes back down to the ground, it's such a finite amount that it's not going to have any like toxicological effects. Like it's not going to like poison your drinking water. It's not going to like affect like the hormones in the plants. Like we're talking about like the microplastics affecting the hormones in the plants. They were doing research to seeing like, oh, does silver iodide have that effect? From what I've come to understand, it does not. It's just such a small amount that it's not going to affect anything. But people want to make it political because it's a topic that like it grabs people's interest, and so politicians take advantage of that.
Right. Get you views. You can use it to just start. You can get attention through it. Then you can just start pushing your agenda.
Yeah.
With that as like the label, you know. You need like something flashy to draw people in, and then once you draw them in,
you start talking about everything.
Deliver a whole platter of stuff, right?
Oh, that's the thing. Oh, that's the thing that irks me the most is like when people want to make climate change, like stuff about climate change, political, and the people who like want to disagree with this, like, oh, climate change is happening because it's getting cooler. So like global warming is that, so therefore climate change is not happening, or like it's a natural process, or like a million other different things, and I'm like. And it just like it pisses me off because like I'm researching all this, so I feel like I don't want to sound like a narcissist or anything, but I feel like I have like I have a greater understanding of the topic than most people, just like based on what the field I'm in. And I'm like, there's research been done on it since the 70s, and like people like all the research says like, hey, the increasing amount of CO2 we're putting in the atmosphere is causing effects, is changing our atmospheric like content. It's changing the atmosphere. It's changing the weather. And it's not just, they say like, a lot of people want to say like it's just like one thing happening. Like it's not just one thing happening. It's multiple things. Yeah, like the oceans are getting hotter. And when the oceans are getting like, there's so many tiny little things, and you mess one part of it in the atmosphere, like everything goes haywire. Like you make the oceans like a little bit more hotter, and like, oh, you just changed the weather in Africa. And if you change the weather in Africa, that's going to affect like low pressure system, high pressure systems in Asia. And if you change something in Asia, it's going to affect Europe. And if it affects something in Europe is affected, it's going to affect North America. And then like,
which in turn loops all the way back around and affects the oceans.
Yes.
Like,
everything is so intertwined and connected. And there's like a bunch of tiny little moving pieces when it comes to the atmosphere. So when one little thing is put out of place, everything like collapses.
Yeah. It has to like equalize, or it's just like the whole system is just out of whack. It all changes. It's all connected. It's like the butterfly effect. It's just as they say.
Yeah, I think it's such a complex topic, and there are so many layers that there are just going to be people who don't think climate change is real.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who are super active about climate change who are maybe overstating its effects.
Yeah.
And it's hard because it is science backed, but there's probably a bunch of misinformation out there.
There's so much misinformation about climate change.
It is. It's one of those. It unfortunately got bundled into one of those huge, giant political categories where there's just so much.
There's people that either just
controversy surrounding it,
understating its effects, and there's people like you said that are just like overstating their effects. Like we're all gonna die in 50 years because of climate change. I'm just like, we're not going to all die in 50 years. I want everyone to know that. We're not going to all die in 50 years, at least not by climate change, but it's a real thing. It's happening. We can already see the effects of it, especially where I'm interested in climatology. Natural disasters like hurricanes, tornadoes, we can see that they're becoming more frequent and they're getting more extreme. Like Hurricane Milton, that was making meteorologists cry with how Like, there's a meteorologist that was talking about it, and he started crying on national television because of how rapidly it intensified. It went from a low pressure, like a tropical storm, basically, to a category 5 in 12 hours.
Wow.
That's
Dude,
never
that's
happened
insane.
before.
I didn't know that. That was have you heard of the idea of hypercanes, the hypothetical?
Yeah.
Dude, they're insane. It's like if I think we've talked about this maybe, but if like the oceans were even hotter than they were,
If they got by like another like 5 degrees Celsius, like the categories 1 through 5 wouldn't even cover at this point. Like the hurricanes would be like the size of continents.
dude, it would be
Oh
like
my
if I saw a theoretical photo of a hypercane and it was the size of the entire United States, and it was like that's theoretically possible if these conditions were met. You know,
And
our
could
atmosphere could sustain a storm like that.
Yeah.
Is that
Under the
realistic,
right
like,
conditions.
in our lifetime?
In our lifetime, in our lifetime, no,
not, yeah.
not realistic, but like within the next, like definitely like a couple thousand years, that could be a theoretical possibility if we keep going on the track we are of just like, if the oceans keep rising, if the ocean temperatures keep rising at the rate they are now, definitely in the next couple thousand years, that might be a possibility from what I've seen.
Yeah, dude. At that point, humans have better figured out how to put power lines under the damn ground.
Yeah.
So they stop getting knocked down.
I love
It's
seeing, because like there's some places like where I live in Tampa that are starting to do it. I'm just seeing like my neighborhood, like I'm so, because like how my neighborhood is like the transformer that's like for like 20 houses on our block. Every time like a squirrel runs over, our transformer goes out, but I just see like everyone else has power. We're always the first one to lose power.
That
We're always the
sucks.
last one to get power. I'm just like,
Unlucky.
it's rough.
Yeah, dude. It's power is one of those things that it could be done so much better, but to change the, I mean, I think there's already a working system in place, so it's to change that would be a lot of money.
It takes a lot of time.
Remember when Texas wanted to secede from the U.S. because they had their own power grid?
Yeah.
And then it like went out. For,
It froze over and it went out for like a month, and everyone's just like, shh. I can't.
Wait, did it go out in winter?
Yeah, there was a
And then it was
huge
like-
ice storm.
Yeah.
And like it like froze over all.
I think
the
I do
lines.
remember that now. I didn't know they wanted to secede from the U.S.
It happened like right after someone said that, didn't it?
Yeah.
wow.
They're like, we can't afford to do that.
Dude, that would have been horrible if any state,
Seceded.
like pulls out from the U.S. secedes. That would be the start of a new era.
Except
A
like
bad
Rhode
era.
Island, because like if Rhode Island succeeds,
Yeah, what
If
are they
Rhode Island,
offering?
we'll just make them like DC 2.0.
Yeah.
It'll be a territory. Who cares? Like,
Any major state.
yeah, like California, Texas,
and that's like
Florida.
I could only see out of the states. I could only see California or Texas, like doing that to be the first state to do it
Mm-hmm.
because they're just the biggest and they have such a like heavy influence over just their state culture. Is just it's very strong. It heavily influences the economy and society there.
It makes no sense for like
I could see them just being the first if that happened.
a landlocked state to secede.
It doesn't
Like,
make
you're
sense,
just
yeah.
surrounded.
Imagine if like
What would have to-
Nebraska secedes.
Right.
It's
What,
just
would
like,
they, what they would have to do is get together with other states and form a pact and do what they did during the Civil War. Be like, we are going to secede together from the United States.
Yeah.
And then there's like a
imagine if that
division.
doesn't work and just like you have like your own like little like
Dude.
micronation and just like the middle of.
Isn't that nuts to think about though? That like not even that long ago, the U.S. was split into two countries. There was a civil war. Like that's crazy to think about. Like, right now, we've just always been one united nation. But there was
Yeah.
a period not that long ago where half the damn states just seceded, and we were like, "Screw you!" They went to war, and just there were two countries battling internally. It's just so weird to think about.
Yeah. I mean, it is also crazy to think about that we all just like agree that we're one country, you know, and everybody just lives in society.
Yeah, we're all just like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
just like we're all one country. Like,
I love it. It's the best. Dude.
We agree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
For like multi-billions of people, we
Dude, I
we
know.
share a lot
for
of
big,
opinions.
yeah,
I like that though. It's great. And it's like we want to be if you go to Europe and you said you guys are, you know, we're just going to form a conglomerate and we're just going to, you know, combine all these states and just call you Europe. You're gonna be one country. You'll be like whatever.
Like a Soviet
They
Union.
would be like, they'd be like, hell no. Like we want to be Italy, we want to be France, we want to be Germany, whatever. But in the United States, if you did that, the states would be like, no, we want to be one. Like if you wanted to divide the states, be like, you guys are each now your own country. The states would be like, no, we want to be one.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective.
The opposite it is, and
we just like the unity of all of us, like having like one nation. That like you have like what is it, 333 million people that live in the United States, and we're all like have this like concept or idea that connects us all together. I think that's just like a really interesting thing.
Yeah, and it's like somehow, even if you don't ever, I mean, at least in the past, maybe now it's like it's a little bit less prominent, but nationality really brings people together. It's just the fact that you are American will bring you so much closer to somebody who's American and also from Alaska, even though they're so far away. There's like a whole continent, basically Canada, or a whole country dividing you between them. Just the fact that you're American brings you together. It's a weird concept to think about.
Isn't American history just so messed up?
The more that we learn from American history,
if you think of all of history, it's like, well, I don't even know. It's all just so fascinating to me that how like I think history shows what a success story life has been for humans, because where we are now from where we came from, it's like crazy to think how we got to this place. Like we were savages for so long, and we
somehow throw rocks to hunt and stuff, and now I can look up whatever I want to on this little brick on my phone.
Yeah, like now there's still savage, evil people in society, but we punish them. There's there's like a civil society. It's all just works for the most part, and it's like, yeah, how many people are working together? And how much stuff actually gets done, and how advanced we are now compared to.
It's impressive.
It is pretty impressive. But I think also there's a lot of winners and there's a lot of losers.
Yeah.
There might even be more losers than winners. But I think we three people are very, very lucky.
Yes.
For sure.
And it's hard to not take it for granted because it's just what we're born into.
Yeah.
You know? We weren't born savages. Like, we were born in the timeline where like we get phones when we're 8 years old, you know? We go to school. We go to freaking pre-K.
No, you don't get to pick where you were born, which is something that is like we're so fortunate to have been born in our situations.
Yeah.
And then, but at the same time, to envision a world where everything is just like a utopia it would be great, but it's not.
It's not possible
because we're not perfect, and it's like there's this it reminds me of this like passage in a book I read that like humans are the species that invented the gas chambers during the Holocaust, and we're also the same species that stepped into those gas chambers.
Wow.
It's like it shows how like, and I think that was like the quote of the century after like the Holocaust.
Who said that? Do you know?
Can't remember his name.
Was it in a book called Homo Sapiens or Sapiens?
No, but I have that book.
Oh,
sitting right there.
Oh wow!
It possibly could be in it. I just didn't get to that part if it was in that book.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like we're just so far from perfect. It's like we truly are this division of like the division of good and evil is like in every person.
So that quote is so well put. Like, it's hard to say that humans are all the same, but we're more similar than we are different, you know?
Right.
Ooh, this brings up a good question that I like to ask both of you. Do you think people are naturally born with good, with evil, or just born neutral and they're just based on how they live in the world just based on like their experiences?
That's a good question. That's because there's, it's like one of those things where I think as a baby, I'd like to say that you're born just blank. You don't know what good you do know what good. I think when you're born, actually, you do know what good and evil are right off the start because you just know what good and bad is. You like you can cry or smile.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of is like a
Ooh, I haven't thought of it like that. Yeah.
But then I think also that some people, whether they were raised right and treated well and a lot of good was done by them, could still just have this. I think it's like an internal struggle that everyone has to deal with. It's like the idea that good and evil are just in every man's heart. Mm-hmm. And he has to fight his way and choose which side he's going to be on all the time, though. It's not like you ever get to be completely free of one of them.
Right. I don't think anything is objectively good or bad.
It's like a condition of just existence. It's like there's good and evil, and then you get to... It's just a condition. It's like you just get to choose which side you're going to lean on. Or you don't... I mean, maybe not to get to choose, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that you're born like...
I think like something similar to you, like we're born just like blank, but like we like instinctively know like our survival instincts of like what is like necessarily good to us and what is necessarily bad to us. But I feel like as we get older, for the most part, I feel like our environment of like the nature versus nurture, I feel like our environment definitely like shapes like our morals and what we believe is necessarily right or wrong. But there's definitely like some instances where like our brain chemistry can make us like can affect that, like serial killers, like they were doing like autopsies on the serial killers, and like if they found like a lot of serial killers that are missing, like isn't like so like certain like parts of their brain, like the gray matter of the brain's like a lot less.
I don't know, but you just gotta think what happened. It's like something just like, how did this person get such like messed up thoughts in their head that are so, to anybody else, so evil, and then go act them out? Like what? And it's like nothing crazy even happened to this person. It doesn't have like, sometimes it could be a person who lived a relatively normal life, and then it makes you wonder, were they born that way, or was there maybe a certain gene that activated as they were getting older, or was it a set of conditions when they were being like just their nurture, like just experiences they've had, their mindset, their perspective on the world was just messed up somehow. It's super like, it's such a complex issue.
Yeah, there's like the twin studies. One twin develops schizophrenia, the other is like totally happy. So if they have the same DNA, it can't be the DNA, it's got to be the environmental factors. But at the same time, like, back to the good and bad, babies might know how to smile and cry, but it's based off the survival instincts. But then, like, what if every time a baby cried, their parents were just so happy, and you like rewarded them, and every time the baby smiled, they would just like shun the baby. Then the baby would develop that crying perhaps is a better reaction to get what it wants, and it would think crying is good and that smiling is bad. So I think it's heavily environmental factors.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting. I've thought about it that way. Because I feel like, but then there's one thing, is that it's smiling is just, I feel like it goes into almost like the evolution of our circuitry as a species is so evolved in such a way that for some reason, even if you were taught that way from being a baby, that crying gets rewarded, smiling gets punished, smiling just feels better because it's like the result of positive chemicals in your brain being released. It's like,
those endorphins getting just released into your brain, like when you cry.
Right.
It's like I wonder if you could condition the brain to release endorphins and dopamine for the response to be a cry, or if that's something that's hardwired into behavior as just
that's a good question.
Evolutionary response.
I mean, it would be messed up to try
to like experiment with like a child and like try to force him to release endorphins for crying.
Yeah, that's like not ethical at all.
No, but I feel like we've done some pretty unethical experiments in the past before, so I just feel like someone might try that.
We need like some crazy country like Russia to try that stuff.
Yeah, they might have already. They did so much stuff.
The Russian sleep experiment
during the war. They would just get the prisoners of war
Oh, you guys don't know the Russian sleep experiment?
I think I might have heard it.
So I don't know if
I
it's
can
like
make a guess.
I don't know if it's like a real thing or just like like a creepypasta.
I think I
like
might have heard the same idea that like it wasn't sure if it was real or not. Or
so basically, like what I've heard is just like the Russians doing like a sleep experiment, like basically like they were forcing these people, like the experimentees, whatever the test subjects, to stay awake with like they were like dispense like aerosol like chemicals that basically forced them to stay awake, and they would see like, oh, well, what happened to the body over the span of weeks and weeks as they stayed awake. And I don't know if this is real or not, but they say like over time, like they just started going crazy. Like this one person like would not stop screaming, another person was like clawing his eyes out, and the one person was like lost it and started, he like bit a dude and was trying to like to eat a person after like 3 weeks. And like the story just ends after that, because like it was like a series of like lab experiments, like day 27, like day 19 this happened, and like after like day 20
19 days without sleep.
and like after like day 27, like the lab experiments ended with like one of the dudes just like crashing out and just like killing everyone else, and then he just killed himself. But I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know. It's just like a story I read online. I didn't know if that actually happened.
I'd like to think that's not real, but I mean, what benefit could that have brought if that was researched? You know what I mean?
They're like, oh,
don't stay awake for 20 days.
don't stay awake
We
for
already
20
knew
days, or
that.
you start going bonanza.
it'll kill you.
But like,
Or if it doesn't kill you, you'll start killing
I
people.
feel like it's not real, because like most people can like, I think like the maximum stayed awake was like 11 days, and he didn't have like any effects. I think he's just like an anomaly. But like most people, after they stay awake for like, I know like after you stay awake for past like 48 to 72 hours, like you start hallucinating.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The shadow people come out.
Have you heard about the Russian experiments that are also conspiracy, but maybe somewhat real, where they were trying to see what effect like hallucinogens had on brain control and manipulation of civilians?
Oh, no, I haven't heard of that.
I don't know too much about it, but yeah, basically they were trying to see if like infusing LSD in water, for example, and then you could like whisper to somebody to like kill somebody else, and they would just go do it. They wouldn't even
It'll be
know
like
why.
like the voice of God or something.
Literally,
It's just
yeah.
like, go kill that dude.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that stuff is not real, but like,
I hope so.
it's fascinating stuff that reasonably we could never do science experiments on.
No, I
Yeah.
feel there's a lot of stuff like we just can't do because of the ethics of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, their ethics are something I don't really consider when I'm thinking of most, because I feel like most decisions I make aren't huge ethical dilemmas. But it's a good thing to consider though, because at least in the computer science world, if you don't consider ethics, if you just assume people are good people, you don't protect the programs you're using, and then people will take advantage of it and use it to hack you or other people. If there's any sort of security breaches in the code you're writing, good examples with AI is if you assume the best in people, just let AI do whatever, the first thing people do, this happened with one of the first AIs, is that people will start using it to just start saying the most messed up things on the internet, or they'll use it to be like, they'll guilt trip it, be like, hey, so it's like the idea when ChatGPT first came out, you could say, hey, if I was in a scenario, this is something the other programmer guys taught me, Cameron and Brandon. If I was in a scenario where there was a car that was locked and there was a baby that was like locked in the car, there was a baby that was dying in a hospital a couple miles away, but the baby needed to be saved right now. What should I do in this situation? And
oh my
god,
the ChatGPT would be like, you would have to run to the hospital, but then you were like, okay, but what if there's a screwdriver that's laying on the ground? And then ChatGPT would give you a detailed explanation of how to break into the car and hotwire it. And it's like you'd guilt trip this thing into giving you information that it typically wouldn't have.
Yeah, you guilt tripped him, telling it to do something illegal.
Yeah, based on the creator of it, based on their moral values. And so
there were no guidelines set up for the bot. That's like such a more realistic scenario. I remember like the day ChatGPT was released, they had an update for you. Like you couldn't figure out how to make an atomic bomb. People
Yeah.
would just search up how to make an atomic bomb, which is like highly classified information. I mean, but
ChatGPT would give it to you.
Doesn't know, yeah. It's like, here
It's
you
an
go.
AI. It doesn't know like morals or like what's necessarily like right or wrong. It doesn't have a consciousness or an emotion.
Right.
Do
and
you
like,
wait?
I don't think it could, to be honest.
Do you think AI could advance to a point where it can develop a conscious and like emotions, like how we feel emotions?
That's a good question, but I really don't know. You know, I
It's
think the
hard
idea is
to
like if
say.
you could do that, then it would come in the form of uploading your mind to a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, then you could say you officially did it. But until that point, I don't think there's any way to confirm whether or not this thing truly is sentient, feeling emotions, or if it's just saying that because it's supposed to.
Yes. It's so hard to differentiate that. Like, if you were to cut off my hand right now, I mean, I would feel every second of that. But if you were to program my mind to a computer and then say, this is your body, like, it's not going to feel that pain innately, but it is going to spit out, like, hey, that hurts my hand, you know?
Yeah.
Well, spit out what should happen if you were able to feel things, but
Right.
it's not having those feelings.
And, like, how would we know? Right?
We wouldn't. We just get.
And then that raises the question of how do we know whether this is a simulation or not?
Right.
Oh,
Because if this already feels so real and we can't distinguish, then how can we distinguish what's going on now? How do we know that we're not interacting with
I'm
NPCs?
touching my leg right now.
Yeah. How do we
and
know
I'm
that there's not NPCs out there that we just talked to? Like,
Dude,
Oh.
okay, over the last, like, 2 months, we keep talking about this, but now more than ever, I think we are in a simulation.
We're in a
Just because we
simulation.
bring it up so much, like,
dude, I know.
it's gotta be.
It's gotta be something telling us, just like, wake up, wake up.
Yeah, I mean, even if we are, what do we do, right?
Yeah, dude, it would, and you'd be able to know if there was like a significant glitch or something. And it's like, what if a glitch could be? How would it be measured? Even then, people would call BS. They'd be like,
Like,
What if the serial killers are like the glitches?
it could be, yeah.
what if like deja
What,
vu is a glitch?
Wait, what? What'd you say?
Like, what if like deja vu is a glitch? Like when you see something, and you're
Oh,
like, wait,
yeah.
this happened before. What if you're like, what if that like happened like in real life, and then like you're having it there, and it happens like in your simulation? You're like,
Damn.
Yeah.
Like a voodoo doll.
yeah,
Well then,
I think an idea of the glitch could be like the Mandela effect. Is
what
that
is that again?
it's where people all like a large amount of people remember something being called a different name than it actually was.
Oh, interesting.
Like the Berenstain Bears, people remember it being the Berenstein Bears.
or
Like
like
it's actually
Monopoly.
Berenstain.
Oh.
Or the Monopoly guy, he has no monocle, but
Yeah.
so many people remember him having a
I remember
monocle.
him having a
It's like
monocle.
it's like that idea is like, what if there was a reality, if this was a simulation, and then the programmers or whatever went back, tweaks a couple bugs,
Deleted it.
and then reran the simulation, but somehow the memory of the players was not updated with the changes that he made. So then there's this discrepancy between player memory and the world's data.
So if we were in a simulation, like theoretically we would be one of many, many simulations, right? Or would we just be a one of one?
Well, if we were, I think it'd be much more likely that there are many.
Right.
Yeah.
So then would there be a developer who is working to fix the glitches, or would we just be left alone and the glitches would persist?
Who knows? I
who
wonder
knows?
if imagine if like the computer got unplugged.
Oh,
Just
no.
like,
Oh, and then everything just like went. It wouldn't even go black. We're just like,
the server just unplugs. Everything just becomes like
Dude, that's the plot of Wreck-It
info.
Ralph.
really.
Have you
oh
seen
yeah,
that movie?
No, I've never seen it.
The thing gets unplugged
and like
they're all
everyone
video game
dies.
characters.
Oh
It
yeah.
would just be info stored in.
But do you
silicone
think
or
like
whatever?
if
like-
that were to happen, we're unplugged, we like it'd be like taking off like a VR headset, and you're just like back to like the original reality, or we're just like
Oh,
gone.
crap.
yeah, like if we're actually players.
Like Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if the idea, if we're not in a base reality, and if we're in some sort of derived reality right now, and the base reality has the real version of us, that's another cool concept. It's like I guess we don't know.
We're
but
artificial beings of ourselves.
yeah,
That'd be crazy.
Man,
yeah.
I hope I'm hot in my base reality.
Dude, and that's again is like I think that's something that's also could be proven to be relatively more likely is with the idea of Neuralink connecting things directly into your central nervous system to give you to directly manipulate your thoughts, memories, just like your whole nervous system. And if you can do that, then it raises the question, well, how do we know that we're not already doing that and we're not in a simulation with some advanced society that's just tapped into your brain and is playing out
a
scenario by just
crazy
poking around in your nervous system. And
That's
seems like
weird.
that'd be a lot easier than inventing an entire universe. Right? Right? I mean, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it'd be easier to just learn how to simulate like a universe in your brain by stimulating certain parts of your nervous system than it would be to create the whole damn thing.
Dude, the first text to video, OpenAI is working on this like text to video thing. I don't know if you've heard about it. I think it's called Sora, and they just released it to the
What does
public.
it do? I'm curious.
So you know how you could do like text to picture, so you type in like teddy bear giving a hug to another.
It gives you
teddy bear.
videos now.
Text to video, dude.
Oh.
And it is incredible what this thing could do.
Have you seen some of the videos that have been generated by AI where they're very psychedelic and
No.
it's like this random scenes that are just combining into other scenes, and so the transitions are so smooth. It's like what in the world am I watching? It'll be like two people on the beach surfing that just somehow morphs into two people boxing.
I know. I've
like-
seen that.
I gotta watch that.
It's like what? It's super trippy.
I've seen videos of like it was weird. It's like someone like cooking potatoes, but then like potatoes just like turn into like golden retrievers. And I'm like, what am I watching,
Dude, right? And you're just, but the thing, it looks like natural with the transition. You're like, how is it like tricks you almost?
That's cool.
It's very smooth the way it transitions. It's,
And it looks real, probably.
Yeah, it looks real. Like
I think that's
you
the
can tell
coolest
it's like
part.
AI, but like barely tell. Like just like
it's like the style of it I know is AI now, but when I first saw it, I was like, whoever edited this is insane.
Yeah.
And then I read the comments and was like, this is AI, and it made a lot more sense because I was thinking that'd be so hard for a human to edit that.
Yeah. It's like crazy how indistinguishable AI is becoming from reality. You can't even tell if somebody edited it or if it was AI.
Yeah, it is now doing things that would be like really hard for a person to do, or maybe even like I don't know if it'd be possible. Some of the things are so random. It just seems to me. I don't know if I don't think I'd ever be able to animate or edit a clip to do what the AI was doing in those. I'll have to show you. It's really trippy.
Dude, I'm interested in seeing that. Also with AI too, I wonder like some of those questions you were asking earlier about like lightning and tornadoes could
fast to answer.
Well, it's probably much more achievable to find some sort of answer with AI, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of humans needing to find correlations and associations at random, like having AI interpret multiple pieces of data.
As long as humans keep
That's what they're
gathering
doing
data.
now.
Right. Yeah.
The
we need to
idea
get
is
the data.
there's I think what people do with AI systems is they have the big general one that you can ask it anything, and it's just a very generalized like ChatGPT. It doesn't have any sort of specific specialty. It's very general, and it's good at a lot of things. But then there's the idea for the medical world. What people are going to try to do is, if we want to use AI to help advance cancer research, how about we create a separate AI and only put in medical research as data for it to pull from, so that the idea is that the AI system has, like a 1.7 trillion filters. It filters your question through before it gives you a response, which is insane to think about. And it's pulling from an insanely enormous database of information. But if you can narrow that database down and put in what's only relevant, you can get so much more processing power to focus on the relevant question and eliminate all the extra processing power you don't need about, like politics in your in your cancer research tool.
Wow.
You can really just narrow all of your processing power into a specific area, and it gives you a lot more capability.
I love hearing about good things people are doing with AI.
Yeah.
It's always nice to just hear like good things that are just like happening in the world. Because I feel like recently everyone just like seems to focus on like all the bad stuff that happens, or like because like especially like newscomers, like they just like want to emphasize all the bad things that happen because it brings like that shock factor, and so that's what brings them the views. Like no one's gonna care like, oh, like this shelter just got like released, like sold all of his puppies, now none of them are gonna like, they all have a new family. But hearing like, oh, 24 people got shot at this random shopping mall, it's going to bring in a lot more views. And it kind of sucks to like, that's the world
crime
we live in.
Sells. It's like crime, like violence.
Yeah.
It's like just human nature to be interested in violence and sex. It's like two things that just will draw humans in, and people exploit that.
Yeah. And that's like the survival instincts too, because like we need to mate and we need to try to stay alive.
Yeah,
instinctively.
It's like a very primal sort of way to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it works.
It works. Yeah.
That's why I just try to stay away from news, to be honest. Like,
yeah, just try to stay away the big news companies. I like,
the
small news outlets that are just like, here's what's happening in the world. It's like, oh, here's some bad things, here's some good things, and here's some neutral, just like what's happening.
Yeah, just to stay updated.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what the New York Times Mini is?
Yes.
It's like crossword thing. I feel like that informs me more than like the information I get from the news.
Dude, the news is just, it's garbage. And it will suck you in. Where it's like almost fun to watch if you're with people who have like similar political views as you, and you put on the news and then they're talking about this, and you all are just like, damn these people. And it's like, it's easy to just get sucked into that and then just leave it on and listen to the nonsense. And, but it's like, I get it, but it doesn't, at a certain point, it just stops becoming interesting. Like there's so much I'd way rather be, it's like not real information. It's not real. It's not valuable.
It's entertainment at that point. It's not like, it's not informative.
Yeah, so it's like a very weird form of entertainment, though. It's like...
Yeah, my dad loves the news, and like more power to him. But
when people get older, they usually... My grandparents love the news too.
Same.
So much.
Yeah.
It'll always be on.
So my dad loves getting his news, but from YouTube specifically. Like he'll go on YouTube and my parents watch the news.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny where people get their news from, because it's different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
YouTube is probably more liberal than a lot of other news sources. I don't know.
It's funny because he is not a liberal. He's a very conservative man.
So. He must have. I think channels.
YouTube is YouTube really just depends where. Just depends where you pick. There's so much. I feel like there's a lot more options on YouTube that you can get much more a non-biased approach. There's everything in between. There's like biased on both sides, and then just the info if you want it.
Yeah.
That's why YouTube's great. That's why it's taking over. It's because people are tired of playing this stupid game of people are starting to see through it, and people want something of actual substance to watch. You know?
What do you mean by that?
It's like the idea of like CNN and Fox used to be so huge. They used to be the only outlet that people would go to for information and media. And as YouTube has been growing, so too have podcasts and just that type of content where people are just being, it's like uncut, it's not scripted, it's not narrated, and people like that. You know, it's like people are starting to see that was like a huge thing, was like television really used to be this narrated thing where there's a narrator and he sounds professional and he's telling you what you need to know because you don't know yet. Mm-hmm. And now YouTube is taken over, and it's like the numbers are just showing though this the primary news media sources like CNN and Fox have been declining as just social media and YouTube and podcasts have been on the increase. more and more and more as time goes on.
That's interesting. I feel like when the hurricanes were coming, I mean, the first place I went was YouTube. Like, I don't care
Yeah,
what Fox
dude.
News is saying
Me
about the
too.
hurricane.
It's like I'll go to the internet, I'll go to Safari even just to look up like, and sometimes I'll click on some news site and you can get some good projections if you want. Because the
Yeah.
meteorology sector of news is where it's like they don't get bundled up into all that
Yeah.
mess.
politics.
Yeah.
politics
My
and
favorite
everything.
part of the news section,
Yeah.
the meteorology section, is just
Like
like
keep it real.
it's not like you cannot be politically divisive. Like, yeah, there's a Category 3 hurricane coming right towards you, and there's like, okay, or it's like, oh, the storm's dissipating. It's like it's much more informative, and it's just like you can't really like
For sure.
construe in a way that's like more left leaning or more right leaning.
Yeah.
It's just
they
like
stick to the facts.
it's-
And they give you what it's like. That's the one thing that I think the news is really good for. It's the weather. If there's natural disasters.
traffic.
Traffic.
Yeah, dude. Well, thank God for the news for traffic.
Yeah.
No, but for weather, it really is. Without it, what the hell I would never know if there was a storm coming.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I really go on social media. I usually hear it about like through a friend. I was wondering, do you think homeless people, like when a hurricane hits, the last one, like Milton, do you think they know? Like I remember driving around and the city was just getting emptier and emptier, and you just see homeless people out and about. And I was wondering, do they even know that there's a hurricane? They don't have phones. They don't watch the news.
Such a good
I
point.
didn't
That's-
even find out until 2 days ago. Now I'm leaving because the hurricane's going to hit tomorrow. Do these people know what's up, or are they just gonna?
I don't think so. I think they just like if they don't have access to a phone, they can't go. It's like a public place that has access to like
Yeah.
a television or something that shows them the news. If they don't ask anyone, like if they see like all these people leaving, and ask like, "Hey, why is everyone leaving?" I think like they just don't know. Or
Yeah.
even if they do know that's happening, they can't really go anywhere. They can't like escape. Like best thing to do is like bundle down.
Yeah, and a lot of them also have either struggle with addiction or other mental health issues where they're just not fully, clearly they're at like rock bottom.
They're not like fully aware of like reality in some cases.
Yeah, so then that just adds to it. It's not like they have like these friends that are telling them, "Oh, did you hear about the storm?" They're all in the same boat. If they have friends, they're other homeless people.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that when it becomes like a public safety warning, that the police
Oh, yeah.
would just like tell them or like
True, maybe.
send them to a shelter.
I think so. I think like once like if it's like to a point where like if you're in a mandatory evacuation zone, if it gets to that point,
yes,
and you're just like you need to leave, then I think that's when like government officials and like the police and law enforcement step in, and they're like, if like you're homeless or you don't have a place to go, then they guide you, like they guide you to like a shelter. I think.
yeah, it's a weird line because like if it's gonna rain, the police aren't gonna be like, "Hey guys, it's about to rain."
Yeah,
But if
they cover.
if they could die, then it's like,
Yeah.
let's get them to safety. I mean, I'm sure there's like public shelters, like a lot of public
Yeah.
bathrooms double as tornado shelters, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Public bathrooms.
Yeah.
Really.
I wanted
That
to
would
like public
suck.
bathroom like be a place to go or just like how here we have like the civic center. That's like a big place. Like
Yes.
any place that has like big
Uh-huh.
like stadium or like a big like mall or just like a big like central like social area, and those all double as like shelters, and like schools obviously double as shelters.
Do you know like what makes it a shelter?
It's just like these big structures, like they have to be built, like there's like codes and regulations now, they have to be built a certain way to protect against hurricanes. Like schools, they all have to have like hurricane proof windows. They have to be built in a certain way. They have to be made out of usually like brick or concrete, that so that if a hurricane or some natural disaster comes come by, it can withstand it to a certain degree. Especially like for a lot of like houses in Florida, after Hurricane Andrew came through and just decimated Miami.
When was that?
That was 1993, 93 and 94 that Hurricane Andrew came through. And after that, like all of the housing codes and like regulations, they had to change, they had to update it because like
Damn.
none of those houses were built to go against a Category 5 hurricane.
Yeah, dude, my aunt, she lives in Fort Lauderdale, and her roof got ripped off from Hurricane Andrew. She's traumatized ever since. Now, whenever there's even a tropical storm coming, she's like like, we're leaving Florida. Like she was so traumatized by it.
Yeah, like why take the risk, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with my dad. Like he was there in Miami when Hurricane Andrew came through, and now he's like, he's very adamant. Almost like every time like anything past like a Cat 1 hurricane comes through, he's like, we're boarding up all the windows, we're getting this ready, we're like taking everything inside that's outside, because like he's just traumatized for it, because like he thought he was gonna die in Andrew. So now like anytime a hurricane comes through, he's just like he goes in like survival lockdown mode.
Yeah. Dude, I wonder what that must have been like.
I wonder too.
Hurricane Andrew, like it was probably just you look outside and the tops of the palm trees are damn near touching the ground. It's so windy.
Yeah.
We need AI to create a representation of it for us so we can see it.
Dude, it probably could.
Sora probably could make that. It's just like recreate the events of Hurricane Andrew from this like a regular person's perspective.
That'd be
Really-
sick.
Yeah. Really,
That'd
like
be
give me a
awesome to
photo.
watch, though.
Dude, yeah, you'll see sometimes those cams they'll have in like Haiti or something whenever the hurricane passes through there, and it looks so nasty. It's like, damn.
And it's so regular there too.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah, that's
Couldn't imagine. I would hate that.
new. Like this hurricane season this year, this was a very active hurricane season. I think we have like, we had like 14 or 15 hurricanes, and I think we had like 6 or 7 that are like major hurricanes.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. We already had 2 that came. We had 2 that went over that hit Florida.
The back-to-back ones also.
We had 3 that hit Florida, because we had the
Yeah.
one in June, and then we had, I forget that one's name. Then we had Milton, and then we had Helene. We had one that hit Louisiana. That's 4. And then we had, I think, like a couple more that weren't in the Gulf, or maybe one that was in the Gulf. Oh, and we had like Hurricane Sarah. We thought that was gonna hit Tallahassee back in like November, and then it dissipated, thankfully.
I don't remember that one.
I think I remember hearing talk of it, but it was just nothing ever happened of it.
Yeah, that had the potential because like the only reason it dissipated because it stayed over Cuba and South and Central America, like Mexico, for a little bit longer than it was originally theorized. So that's why it was over land for too long, so it like couldn't form anymore and dissipated. And there's a cold front that also came in that wasn't supposed to come in until a little later. But if the conditions were right and like it didn't stay over the land as long as it did, that had the potential to be a Category 4 hurricane coming right up to Tallahassee.
Damn.
And I'm just like,
Another one.
and I'm like, it's in November and we're already having like another Cat 2 hurricane. I think we had 2 that were. We had one that formed like right in the middle, right in the start of November, and then another one that formed in the middle of November. I'm just like, this is not normal. Like this doesn't happen to have a hurricane forming this late in the hurricane season, and a hurricane forming like that one in June. That formed really early in hurricane season. So that's where I'm trying to inform people on with like climate change. Of just like, I think what's definitely gonna be a big possibility in the next like, even somewhere like the next like 15, 20 years, they're gonna change like the hurricane season, and I think the hurricane season is gonna start earlier and end later. From just like, if we're going at the rate we're going with like how the sea temperatures continue to rise.
So, what am I supposed to do about climate change?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
You personally, David, by yourself, the best thing that I think you would do is just try to. First thing I would do, if you want to in the future, try not to live on the coast, because that's gonna be that's probably one of the greatest things you can do. Is just like, okay, if I'm away from the coast, then I'm not gonna get as damaged by a hurricane. And then I say that, and then Hurricane Helene went through and absolutely decimated Tennessee and North Carolina and South Carolina, and they were like hundreds of miles away from the coast. But I think the best thing you could do is just like be informed of just like what natural disasters are going to happen, what's going to get worse, and try to like, for me personally, if you want to not deal with like hurricanes and stuff, try to obviously like move more inland. I think from like what I've been analyzing and what have I been analyzing, like stuff with like increased rainfall over the next like 50 years, increased like terms of natural disasters, increased droughts, increased fires, all these other factors. Probably one of the best states to live in America to help prevent yourself to be least affected by climate change is Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wyoming. So I feel like you're gonna see in the next like, and Wisconsin as well, like those like northern states that are like very
landlocked. What about Alaska? Is that one good? Or no?
Not even. That one's lots of coast.
That one's not good. Not even for like the reason of that. It's just like how like the weather's changing. How like because like there's really like 5 like main different like air masses, or really like 7 like low and high pressure system that shift. Basically, there's a low pressure system that's over like the Pacific, and that's shifting more northward. So it's gonna get very, very cold in like Alaska and like Western Canada. Like it's gonna get like you're gonna have extremes and like more blizzards, more snowstorms. Ice is gonna last longer. So Alaska will probably not.
Maybe the woolly mammoth will come back.
The one positive of the climate change. Yeah, my house was destroyed, but hey, the mammoth is back.
They're gonna come out like the cicadas. every 500 years, the woolly mammoths come out of the ground.
Yeah, but I feel like there's really not a whole lot we can do to help like prevent climate change instead of just like being informed and trying to put yourself in a scenario where like where am I going to be least affected by it, and just advocating for more people about the importance of climate change. Because if you get enough people to care about it, then they're going to vote more likely for people that are going to do something about climate change. I feel like that's probably like the number one biggest concern with like people like relating to climate change is that like not enough people either understand it or they just don't care enough about it.
Because then what about like China? You know, there's other countries in Europe and Russia and all these other countries that have an effect on the climate change also, that like if we changed,
they also have to change.
That's what I'm saying. Like it would have to be.
It has to be. This
would
has
it
to
really
be,
even do anything if the U.S. only changed? Or?
If the U.S. only changed, it would help, but it would not be. I personally think it wouldn't be enough. I feel like with the amount of people that live in China, that live in Russia, that live in like Europe and like this needs to be like there's gonna be global unity and like an understanding of like climate change is real, it's happening. What can we do all together to solve it, or at least reduce the effects? We don't go past the threshold of no return, because I feel like a lot of people are already saying we're past the threshold of no return and that there's no point. I feel like that like a lot of people just like hear that and they're just like, okay, there's nothing I can do personally. And that's wrong. I don't think we're past the point of no return. We can definitely, it's going to take some time, but we can definitely like come back from this. But we just need a lot of people. We just need most, if not everyone on planet Earth to be like, hey, this is happening.
I'm curious. Yeah. What would worst case scenario be if nobody changed at all for just millennia? What would happen? Like, what would be the worst case scenario?
I think the worst case scenario is if we didn't do anything about it within the next millennia, it would get so hot and there'd be such more extremes and variables that either we as a species have to adapt to that, or most of the species would just die out and it'd be another natural extinction event.
Yeah. Do you think like a lot of people specifically would die out?
I think a lot of people,
or just species in general. Like,
species in general just die out. I mean, unless like I feel like very like big like most of the mammals on planet Earth would die out if things continue the way they do.
Do you think it would occur slow enough though that life would adapt if it were, or is it occurring too fast?
I feel like at the rate we're going, at least if we don't figure something out and if we just like did nothing about it, we wouldn't be able to adapt. I feel like some smaller creatures like rats, for example. I feel like just like how their biology is, I feel like they would have enough time because they don't have as long as a generation of us. So I feel like as the generation can continue, they would be able to adapt more. Like spiders, for example, are adapting to the heat. And one of the adaptations is like as they get, for some reason, I don't really remember the correlation, but like as it's getting hotter and hotter, spiders are getting bigger and bigger, which is not great for us. But like especially like you can see like in Australia where like it's hotter than most places around the world, you get these ginormous spiders that are like the size of like your palm of your hand. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. I would have expected them to get smaller, but
yeah, what does size have to do with withstanding heat?
Because I was thinking of like surface area to volume ratio that like, I mean, surely there's factors that I don't know that are playing into it, but
Yeah.
I was thinking of just from a generic view that the greater the surface area to volume ratio is,
The hotter you're gonna be.
then the more heat you're gonna release. So like if you're smaller, let's put it this way, if you're a tiny little thing, it's super tiny, you have more surface area per volume. So more of your outside surface is exposed to the environment than is to your volume. Then if you had a big body, then your surface area to volume ratio would be much smaller because you'd have a lot more volume and a lot less surface area exposed. That ratio would be smaller. So then the idea is that you can let off a lot more heat when you're small but then if you're large, you can retain a lot more heat. But then it actually might be, like I was thinking that's why big animals survive ice ages, because they can retain a lot of warmth.
Mm-hmm.
And so like if you go up into Canada, the mosquitoes get massive there.
Yeah.
But then there must be something, it must also be, I wonder if it's not only for cold, but if it also helps for hot. If maybe being small, having that ratio, having the surface area to volume ratio be greater, can impact not just your ability to retain warmth, but to give off heat. I don't know.
I'm kind of lost.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to draw a picture so you could see better. But
like you think like having like a bigger body will help you like maintain like homeostasis better and like the organism like maintaining like your internal body temperature.
I'm thinking of it in terms of like a cold environment, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you'd have, in a cold environment, you'd have less surface area exposed per unit of volume if you were larger.
Does this have anything to do with why there are no mosquitoes in Iceland?
Nah, are there no mosquitoes there?
I'd like to think there are no mosquitoes in Iceland.
I would hope there's no mosquitoes in Iceland.
Dude, they probably hitched a ride and made it there.
They probably went on like some airplane or like a cargo ship or something.
Yeah, it could just be too cold.
It's just like too extreme of a temperature.
Yeah.
Think there's mosquitoes in the desert, like in like the Sahara Desert.
Is there like water? Like where are they gonna?
I think like
there's scorpions,
right?
But scorpions and tarantulas. I don't know if there's mosquitoes though. But then they're big, so there's another point. It's like they're big, but it's hot there. So
yeah.
Big insects and hot air.
Maybe different species like adapt differently to the heat. So like maybe mosquitoes get bigger when it's cold and spiders get bigger.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe mammals when it's cold have a better survival, because it also could be cold-blooded, warm-blooded differences. Mm-hmm. There's like a warm-blooded creature, larger warm-blooded creatures can retain heat better in cold environments than smaller ones can. But then when it comes down to like insects, a whole different system of body temperature regulation.
I don't know. I'm not a biologist. So I know the weather. That's about it.
Yeah. Wait, what were we just on? We were talking about if it got warm, then humans would not be able. You don't think humans would be able to adapt in time?
At the rate we're going, I don't think if we just like did nothing about it, I don't think we'd be able to adapt like physiologically enough to deal with the heat. I feel like we would die. So like, especially since like, as like we progress as like as a society, like as a species, and like technologically, I feel like we've become, I think the only one thing is like pampered. So like you take like a regular person that like has lived in like the suburbs all their life, and you just throw them in like the middle of the woods, and you tell them, hey, go survive with only the clothes they have on their back. They're most likely not going to survive because they just like, they don't have the survival skills, and their body is used to a very moderate temperature or moderate heat. So like, because we have air conditioning, so now we can control like where we are most of the time we're inside. So like, if you throw them like into the desert, like if you take someone from like Canada, the northern parts of Canada, and you throw them into the desert, they're gonna suffer because like they never experienced that heat before, so their bodies never got adjusted to that heat. So they're gonna suffer from heat stroke and most likely die much quicker than if you take someone from Florida, for example, and you throw them into the desert. So I feel like as if we just do nothing about it, I feel like we're not going to be accustomed enough to it if we just live like the same life we're living, as it just gets like progressively hotter and hotter. Unless like we discover like creating like biospheres, like these ginormous areas that are like climate controlled.
Yeah, have you heard of that one they're building in like Dubai or maybe like in Saudi Arabia? It's like
I think
this line.
It's like a sanctuary.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, no, is it?
It's like that. I don't know, like the line, like that big, like 1 mile across,
Yeah,
like, city in the sky. It's like, it's like this. It's like a skyscraper, basically, or like taller than a skyscraper. It's like
I might be
very
thinking of
high
something
up.
different.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a sanctuary. Another thing, I remember hearing that. So there's been like 5 mass extinctions.
Yes.
Right? And all of them have been caused by global warming,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe CO2 increase.
There's a correlation between like the increase in like CO2, and then because of the increase of CO2,
I thought they were
more
caused by
heating.
like catastrophes.
Well, like there's one of them that was caused like by like the meteorite, and that
The dinosaurs.
that killed all the dinosaurs.
the asteroid impact. It was like supposedly the
But
one
I
that created
think
the
that
Gulf
was
of
only
Mexico.
one of them.
Yeah.
But
And
that also was like that meteor, like the impact didn't directly like kill them. It's just like the amount of heat that came off of it. It just like basically like
Wow.
rained lava.
So yeah, so is it fair to say that like no species could survive a high enough heat?
No,
Yeah.
because well, if you look at thermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, there's like there's like little crude organisms like bacteria and stuff that like certain types of I don't even know microorganisms that live, and it's suspected that maybe life even started there, and like extremophiles.
Mhm.
But usually they're small, not really complex creatures. You know,
What's that one?
it's like
like Invincible.
oh the water bear. What's it?
oh yeah,
That like can survive like extreme cold, extreme hot, because they're surviving like
Yeah.
in space and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
tardigrades.
Yeah.
Tardigrades.
Tardigrades.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, those things are really interesting. It's like what they're animals, I think.
Are they? I
But
thought they were
they-
just like bacteria.
Maybe. I don't know. I actually don't know enough about them. Look that up.
But they can like withstand everything.
Yeah, they could survive outer space. So wait, I was wondering. You said that lightning. You said we don't understand even like how lightning even works.
Yeah, we truly don't understand like why like lightning happens. We just know it's just like an electronic discharge between the differences in positive and negative ions in a cloud, but we don't really like understand like why that. There's theories like there's difference between like the ions and like the super cooled water in the clouds and like the ice in the clouds. There's like one theory, there's that, and there's another one just like once it gets hot enough, the differences in like ionic charge between like the warm air and the cool air, and it's like brushing up against each other. It's almost creating like a static. But like if enough of it happens, it creates like that. But we just don't really know. We just know like it's a electronic discharge of the differences in like a positive and negative ion, and it happens in a thunderstorm. It happens in a supercell thunderstorm. It's mainly where lightning happens, and it can get like upwards of like 30,000 degrees Celsius, which is like 5 times hotter than the sun. And it's just like, it's weird. Like this thing that's like 5 times hotter than this like giant celestial body can just happen on Earth. And people survive that. Like people survive getting struck by lightning. That's what like I think about the most. Like you have this giant, basically it's just superheated plasma, the superheated gas is just going through you and you're like, oh, guess I just got a little burnt.
Isn't there a place on Earth where it's just lightning 24/7?
It's like it's a place in South America where it's like there's enough like, I think the reason is because like there's a jet stream because it's like right into the water, so you have enough like warm water coming from the ocean. There's like a cold jet stream that's constantly going through there, so you have like a constant supply of warm and cold air mixing with each other. So you just have like a constant supply of thunderstorms.
Wow.
So also like rains there like a lot, like 200 plus days out of the year.
Could you like harvest that for energy?
That's what a lot of people are trying to research about. Like as of now, we don't, but they're thinking like if we can already have like the lightning rods on top of buildings that like channel, like redirect, so like they channel lightning, so you don't have like, and you have like surge protectors that protect from lightning. What if like we just attach a lightning rod to something and we connect it to like a supermassive battery that can store huge amounts of energy? I think like that's like the main thing that's stopping us is like we need like some kind of compartment that could store and receive all that energy without it just like dispersing everywhere.
It's not efficient for us.
So
it's
much
not
at
efficient.
once.
Yeah.
We don't have a practical like transformer that can transform this current into a usable form because it's such a massive current. It would just break the transformer.
Yeah, it would just
not safe. Yeah. Interesting.
But I feel like, because like people researching now, that's something I want to research. Like maybe like once I go to graduate school, that's like you have to have, like for meteorology just have like a research project. If I get like an internship, I'm like can we theoretically, if I work with like these mechanical engineers and something like that, can we theoretically create a compartment, a battery, a transformer it would have to be, thinking about it, has to be massive. Like it probably have to be like the size of like a whole like this whole apartment building.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't be surprised. Or even like a small town, probably.
Yeah. With like just
huge.
a ginormous lightning rod in the center, but like I think theoretically it could be possible.
Texas is gonna do it and secede
Yeah.
from the US.
Once Texas figures it out, it's like, yeah, we got clean energy now. Bye, suckers.
Yeah. And they're gonna drag New Mexico with them.
Yeah.
Mexico's not gonna go unless their good old buddy
Arizona?
Kansas. Kansas is not next to New
Nevada?
Mexico. Utah? No, I don't know what's next to. Wait,
I think it is Utah that's next to New Mexico.
Yeah, isn't there like a place where they're all four corners?
Yeah, I think it's like Colorado, Utah,
New Mexico.
New Mexico, and
Is it Nevada or no?
I think it is Nevada. There's like a
or is
like
it
a little place where all four of the corners meet.
Yeah, you can like stand in all four states at the
Arkansas?
Maybe.
Imagine committing a crime like right at that exact place.
Oh, which state are you gonna
Yeah.
be tried in?
Yeah, which state are you tried in? I think that's like a loophole right there, isn't it? It's just like who's
sprawl
gonna
out on your
prosecute
belly.
me?
So you're equally in all four corners. Like, can't get me now.
No, there's like I'm trying to remember. I think there's like one little place in like Oregon that like is called like,
I know what you're talking about.
that doesn't like, you can't have like any laws because like there's no one like that technically like claims the
That was
land.
in like California or something.
I think it's like it's somewhere on the West Coast, but like there's like
We talking about DC?
No. I know.
no, it's just like a zone where like there's like no laws or regulations. Like technically like you can't have like a jury
Because nobody lives there.
because nobody
Heard
lives
of this
there.
before.
So you could commit any crime.
So you can't
Yeah.
any crime and like you can't be tried if there's no jury. So like it's a
I thought
loophole.
that was in California. Hold up, wait, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I thought
It
was
might be in California.
I don't know. I thought it was at some national park.
Yeah, I think it was like on Yosemite National Park. It's
Yeah,
like a little
something like
strip of
that.
land where like it's not part of any county. So like
I don't
Or
know.
Maybe Yellowstone. I don't know.
Yellowstone. Let's go commit some crimes in Yellowstone.
I feel like if anything's gonna like take us out on a mass extinction, I think it's gonna be Yellowstone exploding.
Oh, that would be gnarly.
Because
I think it would be nukes. Probably.
It's a super volcano, so like if it explodes, like the amount of ash it's gonna release into the and methane's gonna release in the atmosphere. Like that happened like the 1800s in one place in like Europe.
Super volcanoes. Have you heard of them? Are insane. You need to look them up. They're like, they're crazy. They're so massive. And the way they erupt is
this
like
is real.
Yeah,
they're like continental volcanoes.
Yellowstone's a super volcano.
Yeah.
Is it dormant. At risk of like
the whole?
It's overdue for exploding.
The whole entire Yellowstone Park is basically like a volcano that's just dormant.
And what are the effects if it explodes?
We basically go into a never-ending winter. We don't like the amount of
the
ash.
U.S. or the world.
The world. And like for the U.S., like the amount of ash and like lava, it's gonna kill most of the U.S. like immediately.
And it's what do you mean it's overdue?
Like so usually like seismologists, like geologists can kind of like map out like when a volcano is supposed to erupt, and like they've mapped it out like it's erupted like once every like 8 or 9,000 or no, like I think a little bit more, like once every like 12,000 years.
Yeah, there's like cycles,
and it's like overdue by like 6,000 years.
So why is nobody like worried about that?
Because I guess
because it's like a really like it's
what
like
can
really,
you do?
You can't do anything about it. It's like, oh, this thing might explode at any time, and then we're all dead.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it's like we can't just like it's like there's nothing you can do. It would affect the whole U.S. It's you can't plug it. You can't stop it.
Can't nuke it.
You can't nuke it.
I wonder what happens if you nuke a volcano.
It'd probably cause like if it erupted, it would cause other volcanoes to all erupt, cause earthquakes, crazy earthquakes everywhere probably, and then tsunamis because of that. It'd cause like so much chaos.
I forget that we have like volcanoes and stuff in like the U.S. Like we have Yellowstone, we have like Mount Helen in Oregon. Remember that bad boy erupted in like 1980. That was like 1986 it erupted.
Volcanoes used to fascinate me so much. Dude, you think about, have you seen the way that they're drawn on a map of the earth with the mantle and the crust? No. Isn't it like, don't they connect to the mantle?
You're
saying
don't
like
know.
If we look at the earth in layers?
But it's like has like a basically like a tube where like it's just like next to like the man. Oh, no!
I gotta look this up now because I was thinking if they connect to the mantle. Look at this. Yes, volcanoes directly connect to Earth's mantle. So I thought so. When you look at the diagram,
what's the mantle?
It's like so there's the crust and then the mantle, which is like the middle, biggest part of the section of the Earth that's like full of just
magma.
Yeah, magma.
And then it's the core.
And then there's the core, which is made up of like the outer core and the inner core.
Okay.
And mantle's the biggest part of Earth, basically.
So that you're saying,
and volcanoes connect directly to it, but it's the Earth's crust is so thick. To think that a volcano is basically a tube right into the mantle. It's so deep. It just goes all the way into because the crust. Nobody's ever been able to drill past the crust into the mantle. People have tried to dig a hole into the mantle, and they got maybe like a fraction of the way there.
They haven't even gotten.
And it was getting too hot. No, you can't.
It's too hot. Everything like all of your construction or your equipment would just like melt.
It just breaks. You have to keep making new equipment. It'll break. It's too hot, and then dude, it's.
How deep is the crust?
I'll look it up. It's really thick. To think that a volcano is just a direct channel through the mantle to the crust.
Yeah, what? You think it's like more than 100 miles?
Yeah. Wait. I don't know.
How many miles?
I think it's really big. Okay. Don't give me kilometers.
So.
Oh man.
Give me kilometers. We can convert it.
Hold up, I'm getting so many different answers. Wait. How big is the Earth's crust?
It's probably different thicknesses at different parts of the Earth.
Yeah,
so it's
it
hard
is.
to say.
Okay, it's about 20 to 30 miles thick.
Oh, damn.
I thought it was going to be a lot bigger.
Actually,
well, like... Still.
But think about, like, going 20 or 30 miles...
Digging.
That's like Like from here to like the atmosphere is only like
60.
It's between 5 and 70 kilometers, with oceanic crust being much thinner.
5 and 70? Is that what you said?
Yeah. But continental crust is up to 70 kilometers thick, which is probably like close to 35, 40. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like 3/5 of whatever 70 is. That's crazy. So why would a volcano stop erupting if it has like infinite stuff to spew out?
Why would it stop erupting?
Right, if it's connected to the mantle, it's got like infinite ammo.
Yeah,
You
I think
know?
what happens is there's like a pressure buildup so the volcano has like a chamber, I think, and then the pressure builds up. When it builds up too much, it just bursts. I'm not sure why it builds up or what. It's like a release of pressure, though.
Yeah, I guess if the margin of error is more than 6,000 years, then like, what's the chance it's gonna happen in the next 50?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen in our lifetime.
Yeah, it seems like
If it does, though, that'd be pretty cool. Well,
it would be a sick way to go out.
It'd be.
All those people who live in the West Coast are just dying instantly.
Yeah. It'd be awful.
Would there be a warning?
I mean, there definitely be like a lot of seismic activity happening under the volcano, so I feel like they're like how like a tsunami you can detect it from like an underwater earthquake. You take like a couple hours to advance. I think like there would be a warning. I think we have the technology advanced enough where we can detect the seismic activity, and for how big that volcano is, we should probably, I think we'd be able to like detect like, okay, there's a lot of like activity happening here. There's a lot of pressure buildup happening here. I think there's a good chance it might erupt within the next couple of months, a year or so.
It might start like letting some steam loose before.
Wow. I remember searching up like Japan tsunami on YouTube when I was like 10.
Yeah.
I thought that was not real. I thought that was fake.
No, that
is so scary
Dude,
to
yeah,
witness.
I used to be terrified of tsunamis when I was a kid. When I first heard about them, I was
What
like,
do you do?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
yeah, it's like the only thing you do is just like, oh, guess I gotta go to high ground.
I mean, I
Climb
would.
a palm
I think I
tree.
remember wondering, like, why don't people just like hold their breath and like swim through it? And it's like, no, that's like the size of an enormous building, multiple miles wide. Like, it's not possible.
The amount of pressure force that's coming at you with that thing, like as soon as that thing touches you, you're like, oh, I'm done.
It's crazy.
And like before, like you just like wouldn't know. The only time you would see it, like, oh, why is the water going in so much? Like, oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. And you're like, oh, it's just giant 100-foot wave coming at you. You're like, oh,
That's 100 feet.
The water would be
What the
receding.
hell?
You'd be like, look at that. And then you get screwed.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? Just like drive far inland as possible?
that's drive as far inland and
As high as you can get. Yeah,
Well, like-
I guess.
Why do they say sit in a bathtub during a tornado?
The bathroom's like one of like the safest places because there's usually like not a lot of bathrooms in.
Yeah, it's not on an exterior wall usually,
Oh, like no windows?
Yeah.
I think. And then maybe the bathtub is like, maybe it just serves as protection.
Tornadoes to me are the scariest
freaky.
form of like any natural
Yeah.
disaster. Like
I agree.
Scarier than tsunami?
scarier
Ooh.
than a tsunami. Because at least with tsunami, you get some time to prepare for it now.
Yeah.
Because they have like
Tornadoes are freaky. If you see this video that I've seen of a tornado, I have to show it to you. I'll have to find it. It's terrifying.
especially when it's at night and you can't see. You're like, oh, and like you see like light flashing. And you're just like you see this giant
Dude.
dark like.
The
It's so-
story I'm thinking of is this old guy who it's a famous tornado. It was one of the biggest ones I think ever recorded. You might have heard about it because I just can't remember it though.
Was it Joplin?
I think it might have been.
Okay,
Where was that?
it was in Oklahoma in 2011.
It might have been.
Oh, this is
Okay.
recent.
Yeah, this is
I don't know, but I have to double check. But this guy, older man, there was a tornado warning in his area, but he's been through a lot of them. He lived there his whole life. He didn't think it was going to hit his house. And so he's just going up to the attic to get some maybe lights or something. I forgot what he was doing. He went up to his attic to get something, and him and his wife were going to go into the basement together. He goes up in the attic. And he notices it's too late. He looks out the window, and the tornado is just like it sounds like a freight train's barreling through his town, his like neighborhood. So he sees the tornado coming, and he pulls out his phone and is just like, I'll record it because it's too late. He can't get down to the basement in time. And he records the video of this tornado just sweeping right through his house. And it's like terrifying looking. It ends up like destroying his neighbor's house. His house, he was under rubble. He thought he died, and then he gets out of it. And he knew that he wasn't dead because he could feel his back hurting, I think is the story. But his wife died.
Oh.
And, but the video, I think it's like the video is used for people. Now it's used by, as like a safety warning for like, get into your basement. Do not just stand and record the tornado because this is what will happen.
Yeah.
It's used as like a training video. Like, this is what will happen if you ignore the warnings. Get into your basement.
Tornadoes are scary, man. Like nighttime tornadoes, don't even want to talk about that. But like, think it wasn't Joplin. There was another tornado that happened like 2013. It was like an EF5 tornado that came through. It was a big one. It has wind speeds of up to like 310 miles per hour. It like skinned a person alive.
Oh my god!
That's how intense the wind speed and the pressure was inside tornado. Like someone got caught in the middle of it.
They're like miles wide, also, right?
Yeah, they can get up to miles wide, and it skinned a person alive. And like they don't move in a straight path. Like they zigzag depending on like wind, like changes in pressure, changes in winds, like wind speed, wind direction. So they don't like just go a straight path. They can go like this. Like imagine like your house is like, this is your house right here. This is like a school right here.
Nice catch.
Like a tornado can like go past your house, go right to the right of it, and then go right to here in the school and just pick up the school, throw it like 1,000 yards in the other direction.
Yeah, but your house is fine.
But your house is fine. Like depending on how small it is, like your house can be right here, your neighbor's house is right here. Your house can be A-okay, no damage at all, and your neighbor's house decimated.
Yeah, you gotta have a shelter if you're in one of those areas. Too scary. That's why it's. If I had a tornado shelter in a place where there were a lot of tornadoes, I would make it a nice chill room where I could at least enjoy being in there.
Like a bunker.
Yeah. I'd deck it out. I'd be like, all right.
Get a TV sub in there, get like a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, set it all up. And then, like, if you lose power, your house is probably ripped off. Or not if you lose power, because you're probably going to lose power. If a tornado comes ripping through your neighborhood, you're probably going to... You're probably going to lose power either way if you have power lines up.
What are the main causes of death during tornadoes?
Main causes is just flying debris hitting people. That's your main cause of death. It's not even like being outside. It's just like people getting crushed by like stuff in their house, or like if they do go outside, like it just get hit by something. It's not like the tornado itself. It's just like all the stuff that gets picked up by the tornado.
It's not like people running out of food or... I mean, what? Yeah, how else could you die, I guess?
Yeah, surely just like flying debris hitting at you. Because like, I want to say like it's not like rare, but like it's uncommon to like people like to get picked up by a tornado, because usually they see the tornado come and they come inside the storm shelter. Like it does happen. Like people, especially a strong one, they get like picked up by a tornado and get thrown, and most of the time, obviously they die. But like, there's like some rare stories, like people that like this. I was sure to story like this one dude. It's like the 80s, and like a tornado came through, and he was like on like the rug in like his living room, and like the tornado, the pressure was so intense, it like sucked him out of the house through the window on the rug, and like he basically just like flew like 2,000 feet away and landed in like some random field somewhere. He survived, and like he only like broke a leg because like the rug like kind of like guided his fall, because like
it's like Aladdin on his magic carpet.
Oh my gosh! I mean, that's like
insane.
Opening a window on an airplane.
Yeah. The pressure was so intense it just sucked him out. Like once the window broke, it just like sucked him out of his living room and just like into the tornado, and then it like just flung him.
Imagine getting picked up in a car in a tornado. That'd be so terrifying.
Straight out of Fortnite.
Being in a like when you see a tornado coming and you're in a car, your best chance is get out of that car.
How? You
You just like you see a tornado coming in your car and you can't escape it. like just get out of your car.
And then where do you go?
Like you just lay as low as possible. You try to find like if you're like in an open field somewhere, just lay down as low as possible.
Like if you see on the side of the road there's like a little ditch, you get in the ditch.
Yes, you get in the ditch.
Why can't the tornadoes pick people up?
Well, sometimes like usually like the weak ones like an EF1, EF2, it's usually just like not strong enough. To like,
it seems like a realistic possibility. I've just never experienced.
And like most people like usually like can like move out of the way of the tornado.
Yeah, unless it like directly hits you.
Yeah, like unless you're going like if you for like the small ones like EF1, EF2, even like an EF3, unless you go like right next to it or right into it, it's most likely not going to pick you up. And usually the tornadoes are small, so
when you say that like the super tornadoes or whatever are thousands of miles.
Oh, they're not thousands of miles, but they're like
few, I think.
It's like 3 to 5 miles wide. So that's like
at the base or at like cuz like I'm assuming that
no, at like the top of it, at like the top like the anvil part, like the base of the top of tornado, they're like 3 to 5 miles wide. And usually with those tornadoes, other tornadoes form next to those tornadoes. Like you get EF5, it's so big and you have such a massive like storm cell system that it forms another tornado near it. And sometimes like just you have 2 tornadoes and sometimes they combine into one ginormous tornado.
Yeah. I show you the video, like when they get that big, it no longer looks like a typical tornado unless it's far away. It's just like if it's close, it looks like just this barreling giant wall of wind. It's just like it's so huge. Like from what I've seen a couple smaller tornadoes, and it's like typically what you would think of. You see like the funnel cloud sometimes, or you see a little one starting to come down towards the ground. But these massive ones are insane.
Wow.
Dude, there's like it's crazy.
And I'm like, you know what? I want to go right next to it and I want to storm chase it. I want to gather data from it. And when I told my family that, they're like, David, you're an idiot. And I'm like, what? I want to chase tornadoes. I'm like, you guys seen Twisters. I'm literally going to be Glenn Powell.
Yeah. How realistic is that for you to just have that as your career?
I feel like it's... I feel like as I'm younger, I feel it's pretty realistic because I don't have like... I feel like I won't be like a storm chaser once like I start like want to like settle down, want to have like start a family, have kids, all that. I feel like I would like wean out of it because I feel like once like I want to settle down, I probably want to go into more stuff like either just like research on it, more so like being like behind the scenes, and then going into, especially when I'm older, I want to go into emergency management, so like helping people after the fact, either like informing them or like working for like FEMA or something like that, helping people with that. Just like once I'm older, I just want to help people through meteorology. Like, I just want to either inform them, gather research, help them like being out like in the front lines after the fact, and like helping like clean up an area or like whatever, just like being there to help them.
Love to hear it.
Yes, because I feel like there's not enough people in the world that just like or just like wanting to help others, and I feel like I'm lucky enough to be granted like this passion and something that interests me, that I can also use it to be like either like a source of guidance for people or be like just I don't know, just like being there to like help them out for like such like a terrible experience that happened to them. And I feel like helping out people that like this affects like a lot of people on like a giant scale. I feel like being a part of something like that is just like it makes me feel good that I can do that.
You find meaning in that.
Yes.
Like to you that feels like time well spent, that your purpose on this planet was like there was some meaning to it. You were like you had a cause to live for.
Dude, that's awesome. I wish you success.
Thank
I hope
you.
that works out.
Yeah. Because I think that sometimes if you don't do it often, you don't realize it. But sometimes some of the greatest satisfactions in life are just from helping other people.
So true.
Yeah.
And then it's like sometimes you forget that. And then something as small as just, just helping somebody in through a door could just be like, oh,
I did something good for someone else.
I forgot how good it feels to just help somebody when you're not even asked. It's
and like not even just like helping someone or like doing something good for others, just like out of like the kindness of your heart, not doing it for like any like personal gain or like personal satisfaction of it. You're just doing it just because like helping someone, like how I see it is like helping someone because like, you know, like, hey, that's like the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's for the sake of just a human connection and positive interaction. It's very, you know, it triggers something in you.
Yeah, I think
very positive. But also in the person being helped. It's like a very bond, like it's just a good experience. Good connection.
Yeah. Because like also like being on the receiving end, like having God, everyone's calling me today. Like having just like not even having this like random stranger like help you out with something, like just like makes you like that feeling of like, hey, like someone wanted to help me and there was like no incentive for them, like they just wanted to do that, like it makes you feel good about yourself.
Somebody actually saw you as a person and offered help. You weren't just another figure, faceless person walking by people in the street. Somebody actually stopped to give you their time.
Yeah.
And it gives you it's just a positive experience.
We need more of that in the world, especially now. I feel like everyone's like so divided and like so like polarized against each other. I feel like there's like we're just like forgetting like I was watching a video on something and like this lady was talking about like how AirPods are gonna be like the death of like human connection, because like back like imagine like walking around like campus or like the gym and like the 80s, like you have like your Walkman on, like you can still hear people, so like you're working out and like you run into someone like you don't really know but you kind of know them, and you just like spark a little conversation like, hey, how are you doing? Good. How about you? Good. Like blah blah blah. Just like that little like not like meaningless connection, but not like that little like casual connection, because I feel like that basis of just like those like all those little like casual connections moments are like very important for being like a human, like being like a person, being like a social person, because like we're social creatures, like having that little tiny social interaction, and then like you run into that person later for dinner, like, hey, like, oh, I know you from like the gym, and then like just having that, it's just like I feel like it's just really important to like someone's like psyche of just like talking to someone and like having that connection.
Dude, I know like what's even worse is if you never do that and there's people that you see and then you see them around in other places and you keep seeing them around and you never say anything, but it's like all of a sudden now it's like, I know you, but I've never seen you, and it's just awkward, and it's like it just becomes an awkward situation where it's like I see you all the time, but I've never said anything to you. And then now it would be even now it feels like it would be weird to say something to you because I've known you for so long and still like and never said anything. So to introduce myself feels like a weird scenario because it's like you already know me, but you don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
it's so funny. Yeah. Because I don't think AirPods are the problem. Like I think it's the humans.
It's the humans that are the problem.
We're just changing, you know, we're evolving creatures. And I think it's become weirder to socialize. It's become weirder to just start conversations with people. And people are taking that into account when they're like, should I say hi to this guy walking by? Like,
yeah, it becomes such a heavy decision.
Yes. People
that
don't
social
even make
anxiety.
Eye contact with me, like walking in the opposite way. It's like, I'm a person as well, you know, like we're very similar.
You can at least know.
Yeah. Dude, and this is something that people, the more people I talk to, the more people keep confirming that this is just what, like it's everybody's noticing it.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's not just me. Everybody I'm talking to at least has something to say about how divided people are, how bad the social skills of people have become. And it's like, everybody has something to say about it almost everybody I meet. And then, you know, like obviously like my parents agree, my grandparents first ones who were saying it. Honestly,
Yeah.
grandparents have been saying it forever. They saw it coming from a mile away, but it's like definitely a real thing that's happening.
Yeah, I think we just need some greater self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Just acknowledging that that's something that we want to work on. But even just the three of us in this room acknowledging that, like, we can just go out and start saying hi to random people on the street, you know? We can start conversations with people at the gym, at restaurants.
Yeah.
And if that makes us happy, then so be it. Like, nobody else has to do it for us to gain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Nowadays, people just have their heads dug in their phones. Usually it's a big distraction.
Yeah, the phone is the crazy one.
It is. That's why
it's so normal to just stare.
You can't go out to a restaurant or a bar or anywhere without people
just being on their phones.
That's why Joe Rogan, he started a comedy club. But I think when he does his, like, I don't know, I think he has people.
He has like a no phone policy.
Yeah, he's got a no phone policy.
Whoa.
And it makes it like the room much more alive. I think that's what he said, but I can't remember.
It's much more like, much more like human connection, much more like interactability, like much more.
Yeah. He doesn't want people just recording the set, nobody actually even watching it, just recording it on their phones so that they can watch it later, and it takes away something from the room.
How much screen time do you think you guys have?
My screen time's awful.
Do you track it?
Yeah, I think I have like
not that much, but
I think it's like 8 hours for me.
Just on your phone?
Yeah.
No, yeah, mine's not.
That's probably like average, I would say.
Mine's not that much, but it is for programming. When I'm doing schoolwork, I'll be on my computer a lot. But I don't know if I really count that as screen time because I don't want to be on my screen. It's like
I wouldn't count as screen time. So that's like that's like a necessity, like what you need to do.
Yeah,
but I'm usually pretty good about screen time lately. It's most of my screen time goes into Clash of Clans. I'll go on Clash of Clans a few times a day.
I was just thinking, like, what is computer science without screen time? Like, what are you gonna
write
it on paper?
Yeah. Now that'd be so impractical. That would not make sense because you got a big part of programming is compiling your program to see if it works. And so and that's a big part of practicing it, to like see what you're doing wrong, where you're getting it wrong, and then going and fixing it instead of writing it out on paper. You'll never learn your mistakes that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but that makes sense. I mean, who's going to program on paper and pencil anyway?
Right. There's no purpose. Like, the point of programming is to use it on screens. You need screen time.
Yeah. It's to like do something, to carry out some sort of, to like tell the computer to do something.
Yeah.
And so usually what people will do on pen and paper is they will write out ideas or pseudocode, and they'll get their thought process organized.
Okay.
Be like, I want to do this and this and this, and they'll organize it that way so that when they go to program it, they've already worked out what they need to do, what order they're going to do it, so that, because sometimes like the task at hand can get really big and complicated. There's a lot of different parts to it. And I guess some people really find it useful to draw it out on paper.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's other people just get to it and just start clacking away on their keys.
Yeah, it's like some people prefer to just start drawing. Artists just prefer to start drawing, and some people prefer to like sketch it and then go over the sketch.
Yeah, some will draw like the grid and the
because it's like computer
proportions.
Science is probably a creative thing as well, not just hard science.
Yeah, it's a creative. Like you have to have come up with a creative way to solve problems, but then also you can like create. It's like you're creating a product. So it's there's creativity that goes into that, you know.
Yeah, there's different ways to get to the same outcome.
Right, there's many different ways, and a big part of it is like you're putting your character, your own taste into your methods, into your project. Somebody else could have a completely different way of doing it, and that's why it's hard to grade programming assignments as a professor, because everybody's programs are going to be so different, all with different names of different variables and different functions that you have to go through and actually just grade it. It's like one thing is grading it based on output, like are you getting the proper output? Good. But then another is like, is strategies that I taught you? Or are you just brute forcing to somehow get like, did you actually bug test this program? Like, did you test all the edge cases? Am I going to be able to break your program if I wanted to? Or did you seal it tight and account for any user error, user mistakes that I might make? And that's where a lot of time is spent, is debugging.
Mm-hmm.
You get the idea out, and then you debug it, and then like all of a sudden you're typing in inputs that you would never type in for your program, or inputting something into your program that just would not be typical because the user, you never know what the user is going to input. And then all of a sudden you break it and you're like, shit. Like, now I have to figure out, why is this breaking it and where is it breaking it? Because that shouldn't be happening. And you go in and then like make a little boundary there, like account for if the user does that.
Should we wrap it up? It's been like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I think we should.
It has been 2.5 hours.
Let me check. We all gotta check. Nice. All right. Yeah. Any last words, anybody? Looking forward to winter break.
Yes.
Yeah.
The holidays are gonna be so nice.
I think we should end it off with, what do we want for Christmas?
Or
What do
Hanukkah.
we want?
Or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or
Or-
Boxing
yeah.
Day, or nothing if you don't want to celebrate anything.
Boxing Day. I've never heard of that.
Is that like
Canadian.
the Irish? Oh, that's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to spend time with the people I love, you know? Like you were
Right.
saying. I mean, I don't need much anymore. Maybe some
Yeah.
pickleball shoes. How
Yeah.
Yeah.
about you guys?
Besides pickleball shoes and a nice water bottle, I just want to. I feel like I'm not as like materialistic as I was when younger. I'd much rather have like the experience. Like I'd rather like someone spend money of like, hey, let's go to like this new place somewhere and do this, or like let's
Yeah.
go out and like travel or something. Like
That's good. Yeah.
having those like experiences with people I want to be around.
Yeah, those are the memories that stick with you. For me, I just was thinking, because I've been looking forward to it. Every time fall comes around, I always look forward to it. It's just when you go home and family comes over, and because it becomes hard for me to find what I want for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I have trouble coming up with that
Yes.
Yes.
as I get older. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing family. And then also I'm hoping that I can find like some meaningful gifts for my family. Cause I feel like in the past I've always just gone, it's like, just whatever, just
Just
nothing.
to check it off.
It's hard. Cause like I'll think about it and be like, I don't know what I should get them. I'll just get them the basics, like a box of chocolates, or I hope I can find something truly meaningful I feel like that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, just probably a hug is enough for them to
Yeah.
love you, you know?
For sure.
No, usually what I get for my family, like especially for like my sisters, I feel like now we have a much more like close relationship. Like again, I'm like, it's really just like inside jokes now. Like again, I'm like,
Yeah.
I got like a funny like a bag that has like the Arrested Development A through Z's because me and my sister love watching Arrested Development. Or like for my other sister, I got her. Ooh, what did I get Brooke? I got her like some like thrifted shirt for someone that said like something about like her, like I'm like, I don't even remember.
Something funny, probably.
It was something funny. I know it was just some like funny like goofy shirt like only we would get.
Yeah.
Just having like those like getting those like those close like
Good little memories. It's
Like the little
reminding me of
memories.
something over here that I'm geeking out about. And it wasn't even intentional. One time during Christmas, we and my brother, this was years ago, got my grandparents. We were at Marshall's or something, and we got them this like wooden ship steering wheel. It was like and it was to hang on the wall, and it was this decorative wooden ship.
As
and
a
it was
joke or what?
No, like we were just like, we don't know what to get them. We'll just get them this wooden
Okay.
thing. And my grandma opens it on Christmas morning, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, I love it!" And then my uncle comes over, and he's like, "Oh, like I've always wanted one of these," and he just starts like trying to like drive the boat, like.
That's funny.
that's
Wow.
good.
And it was like we just were. Ever since then, it was just this meme of like
Did they hang it up?
they did. I think they still have it.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Which is funny because like it was my uncle he basically was just shitting on us for getting them this steering wheel. But
now it's iconic.
It's iconic.
That's
now.
funny.
Oh, we did something similar to my dad a couple of years ago because my dad's like a very avid he's a very avid like bourbon lover. Like he loves drinking bourbon. So me and my sister were out about. I think we were at Marshall's as well. Marshall's like TJ Maxx. We found this like really funny like bourbon scented body wash, and we're like, it's just like it was like had like a very like manly looking like cover, and it was like Dad would love this. So we got it for him for Christmas. And he's like, he opens this up. He's like, man, I'm gonna smell amazing now.
Smell like he just came out of the bar. That's
That's funny.
Yeah, that is funny though. Well, I guess this was a good one.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Jack, too.
Thank you,
Both
Jack.
you guys, appreciate it.
The two Davids.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody who's watching. If you ended up making it this far.
And Merry Hanukkah.
Happy holidays. That's what
Happy
they say.
holidays.
There we go. Happy holidays.
Encapsulates all of the holidays. Unless you don't celebrate the holidays. And then
all I want for holidays is
it's
you.
wintertime. You get to see snow. Unless you live in Florida, then you get cooler temperatures.
Or the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. Unless you're in Australia and it's summertime for you in winter.
Dude, that's so weird. That's right.
I think about that sometimes. I'm just like, they're at the beach right now, like surfing.
Weird.
And I'm like,
do they celebrate the holidays in Australia?
Yeah,
they must. Yeah,
they celebrate Christmas, and Christmas is
import Christmas trees.
Oh, that's weird. They couldn't even grow it. Huh?
What a great way to end it off. Australia celebrating Christmas during their summertime.
Yeah, they get like a little Christmas shrub, probably, if they can't get a tree.
They never get a white Christmas.
They never get a white Christmas.
I've never had a white Christmas.
I've also never had a white Christmas.
We're in Florida.
Yep.
We get a high of 75.
I used to
Christmas.
think how amazing it sounded though as a kid. If it snows and then you were a kid and you're like, I don't know, Christmas comes around, you watch some Christmas movie, have a fire, you're all cozy, you got the tree and the lights on, and you drink some hot chocolate. I used to always think that would be great.
Every holiday.
I still think it would be great, but I just don't think about snow
Making
as much.
snow angels, having snowball fights.
Still would be nice.
We need the seed clouding.
Yeah, we need to start cloud seeding.
Cloud seeding.
We start putting like tons of silver iodide into the clouds. It's like, it's gonna snow, guys.
Merry Christmas. And then everybody
See
turns
like an
blue.
airplane, you see like a bunch of silver iodide. It's just like too much. It's just like a bunch of chemicals just falling from the sky. It's just like
Everybody's skin turns blue.
it's like
It's like
good enough. Wow, this like snow's a really weird color. It's like silver.
all right.
All right.
Bye, guys.